everybody? This is Edward back with another video, another episode of Everybody Hates Black Men. I'm your host, Edward Anderson. I was able to weasel my ass out a little bit early. So they're 30 minutes in. So this is what we're going to do. I'm actually going to try to speed it up and catch it up. And yeah, we're going to jump right into this. I'm curious. So let y'all come in here as we're live streaming this. I know y'all probably watching some other folks. So, if you're over here with me, appreciate it. I haven't seen a lot of the debate. So we about to jump right into this for real. Let's see. All right. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm doing this because I'm cool with y'all, but let's keep it real. I listened to like a minute or two, and I can already tell you, like, y'all better support because I really this is gonna get on my nerves. I already can tell. I already can tell this is about to get on my nerves. So if y'all want my direct reactions, this is what I'm doing this for. And man, here we go. I know AB is, out. I know the code breakers are doing it, so we'll see. So here we go.
It's wonderful to have you. It's an honor to have you both here tonight.
So first things first, no audience. I think that's for the best because I'm going in this eyes wide open. I'm gonna tell you right now. I was on Twitter and I was like kind of disgusted at both sides, at quote unquote both sides. There's just no seriousness on there unless you're like following somebody directly. There's just no seriousness on there. If you type in presidential debate, everybody is just super in their feelings, whether it's on their side. Just no seriousness. It's just some of the goofiest stuff I'm hearing, and I'm talking about people that are pro Trump and people that are pro Kamala. I literally did not see anybody have any kind of sense with anything, and that's unfortunate. And so screw Twitter. People can say, "Whoa, that's because Elon Musk," but truth be told, it was a lot of people didn't like Trump either. So let's go.
Good evening. We are looking forward to a spirited and thoughtful debate.
So let's get started. I want to begin.
They shook hands
tonight with the issue that voters repeatedly say is their number one issue, and that is the economy and the cost of living in this country. Vice President.
Yeah, we're going to speed this up to hopefully catch up.
Harris, you and President Trump were elected 4 years ago, and your opponent on the stage here tonight often asks his supporters, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
So I was raised as a middle-class kid. And I am actually the only person on this stage who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class and working people of America. I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people. And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy. Because here's the thing. We know that we have a shortage of homes and housing.
That sounds like a slogan.
And the cost of housing is too expensive for far too many people. We know that young families.
The thing about it is what I'm looking, the issue that I have with the Biden administration that she has to carry is there is a certain amount of leveling with people that I expected Biden to do. And there are things that I think Biden and Harris, but really Biden, and she's got to carry that. Could have did, because she didn't separate herself away from that. Could have did, that would at least have people believing there's a certain level of honesty going on. I personally believe, and BGS has kind of alluded to this, that they decided to protect the banks. They basically decided to protect the dollar. They pretty much ushered us into what the Greeks and the Europeans were dealing with, stagflation and stuff like that. And they just are not being honest. And there's a level of lack of honesty in what they're doing. And people would say that about Trump, but see, you kind of know when Trump is BSing or not, versus there's a certain amount of credibility that comes along with Biden. And yeah, so I mean, but let's go.
Families need support to raise their children, and I intend on extending a tax cut for those families of $6,000, which is the largest child tax credit that we have.
That does nothing. If you actually look at how much money people are spending on things like, daily items, monthly items, budgetary items, like, food, clothes, I mean, rent. Here's a problem. That stuff, maybe, because we're talking about individual, like can account for the individual items that come to inflation, which this is going to assume that people know how to budget their stuff, which most people don't. And the people that do probably don't need it like that. But this, what that isn't going to do is deal with rent. If you're talking about $6,000, you're talking really about $500 a month, which doesn't count for all of that.
Have given in a long time so that those young families can afford to buy a crib, buy a car seat, buy clothes for their children.
Again, so what about everybody doesn't have kids? So what about everybody else? I mean, what are we talking about? That sounds like some JD Vance rhetoric. That doesn't sound like a Democrat. Because, you know, a feminist would say, well, what about women that don't have kids? Don't they matter?
My passion, one of them, is small businesses. My mother raised my sister and me, but there was a woman who helped raise us. We call her our second mother. She was a small business owner. I love our small businesses. My plan is to give a $50,000 tax deduction to start up small businesses, knowing they are part of the backbone of America's economy. My opponent.
That sounds great. That sounds great, but at the end of the day, you know, depending on who you are, that sounds like something you gonna do to help immigrants. White people are, I'm not gonna say white people are like 100% fine, but white people don't have an access to capital issue. So it's like, okay.
And on the other hand, his plan is to do what he has done before, which is to provide a tax cut for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion to America's deficit. My opponent has a plan that I call the Trump sales tax, which would be a 20% tax on everyday goods that you rely on to get through the month. Economists have said that Trump sales tax would actually result.
I don't agree with that, and we'll see if he stands on that. But I definitely don't agree with that, because that is a tax on the lower levels. It absolutely is.
For middle-class families in about $4,000 more a year because of his policies and his ideas about what should be the backs of middle-class people.
But if Trump was really doing some stuff like that, they would have ran on that. That's like a tangible thing that you can go after him about. So that's not something you would just hear like now.
Paying for tax cuts for billionaires.
President Trump, I'll give you 2 minutes.
First of all, I have no sales tax. That's an incorrect statement. She knows that. We're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world. And the tariff will be substantial in some cases. I took in billions and billions of dollars, as you know, from China. In fact, they never took the tariff off because there was so much money they can't. They would totally destroy everything that they've set out to do. They're taking in billions of dollars from China and other places. They've left the tariffs on. When I had it, I had tariffs, and yet I had no inflation. Look, we've had a terrible economy because inflation.
That's in line with what you said, and they either did leave them on or they didn't leave them on. And they left them on, that's kind of a low-key cosign that they agree with it. And really, remember, tariffs was about to not buy as many Chinese products, but you know,
known as a country.
That sales tax stuff is stuff Republicans like to talk about.
It breaks up countries. We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before, probably the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80% higher than they were just a few years ago. This has been a disaster for people.
I won't say it's that high, but the thing is, it is a lot more than what they're saying. Because the thing that people don't account for is you don't account for like the stuff. People can try to blame it on COVID, but what you don't account for is like the extra rent that's going on with these real estate situations. And that's not just COVID. That's also not holding basically what you can control, like these big corporations buying up all these housing. That should be illegal. Just like how cities had been able to block Airbnbs from doing that, you know, to rent them out. It should be a similar situation like that. That stuff matters. And then on top of that, you're bringing in all these extra people, and then talking about giving them loans. That's a party situation, and that's coming from the Dems. So I mean, the thing about it is, and Trump does need to be like accurate with his stuff, but the question is the spirit of what he's saying true or is it not? And the spirit of what he's saying is true. It is a lot higher than what they like to say it is. And so
middle class, but for every class. On top of that, we have millions of people pouring into our country from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums. And they're coming in and they're taking jobs that are occupied right now by African Americans and Hispanics. And
who are you saying a 3v1? Who are you saying? Are you talking about Trump? What are you talking about?
Also unions. Unions are going to be affected very soon. And you see what's happening. You see what's happening with towns throughout the United States. You look at Springfield, Ohio. You look at Aurora in Colorado. They are taking.
The thing about it is people are watching this. And if people say it's like a 3v1, 3 versus Trump, I mean, people see that.
taking over the towns. They're taking over buildings. They're going in violently. These are the people that she and Biden led into our country, and they're destroying our country. They're dangerous. They're at the highest level of criminality, and we have to get them out. We have to get them out fast. I created one of the greatest economies in the history of our country. I'll do it again, and even better.
We are going to get to immigration and border security.
Yeah, and it does come down to it. I mean, that's a big issue. Like at the end, like here's the thing. Because they're gonna like abortion is something that I know is coming. The thing about it is no matter what they say, you're not gonna get a majority to pass a national legislation bill. That's why they kind of pushed it to the courts in the first place. You're not gonna get Republicans to co-sign that. And you don't have the numbers to jam that through. Because any Republican that signs an abortion bill, I don't care if they are pro-abortion, they're not going to be elected. They will be primaried. So you're going to ask them to sacrifice. So you're not going to get you're not, and the courts are not going to undo what they did. So anything you want to talk about abortion, all y'all really doing is running on it, but you're not going to really pass it. And if people want to change those laws, they're going to have to elect, I guess, Democrats in their state or work within their states. And the reality is, women do not want men to even have a say in it. That's really what that comes down to.
During this debate, but I would like to let Vice President Harris respond on the economy here.
Well, I would love to. Let's talk about what Donald Trump left us. Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. Donald Trump left us the worst public health epidemic in a century. Donald Trump left us the worst attack on our democracy since
I mean, that sounds good. That sounds good. But nobody would be saying it's better under Trump if that was the case. So that sounds good for people that already don't like Trump. But that's not true. Basically, you might as well just say Donald Trump left this COVID. You might as well say that. And the truth is, you're not going to tell me, maybe Obama would have handled it better, but you're not going to tell me like Biden would have handled COVID better. I don't believe that.
Civil war. And what we have done is clean up Donald Trump's mess.
We're just as polarized as we were under Obama. That, it's just on the other side.
We have done, and what I intend to do is build on what we know are the aspirations and the hopes of the American people. But
y'all have 4 years to do that, and you have 4 years to be a spokesperson for that. Let's keep it real. You saw Michelle Obama a lot more than you saw Kamala Harris. If we're gonna just be 100% honest, I could believe that Michelle Obama had more to do with what happened in the Obama White House than Kamala Harris did in the Biden White House. But come on now.
I'm going to tell you on this debate tonight, you're going to hear from the same old tired playbook.
Notice you don't hear that black scent.
Lies, grievances, and name calling.
Notice how she keeps on trying to intercept what he's gonna say rather than just organically letting it flow. As it like yeah.
You're going to hear tonight.
Trump is not stupid. Trump typically doesn't go as hard on women as he does men because he knows that doesn't play well. Even if you looked at how he dealt with those black women, he didn't go really hard at them. He just said they were rude, they were this. He didn't call them names.
And dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the former
here we go.
president intends on implementing if he were elected again. I believe very strongly that the American people want a president who understands the importance of bringing
Hillary did that shit too. Somebody needs to call that shit out when they do that.
us together. No, we have so much more in common than what separates us. And I pledge to you to be a president for all Americans.
President Trump will give you
It's fine.
If you respond.
Number one, I have nothing to do, as you know, and as she knows better than anyone, I have nothing to do with Project 2025. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it. This was a group of people that got together. They came up with some ideas. I guess some good, some bad, but it makes no difference. I have nothing to do. Everybody knows I'm an open book. Everybody knows what I'm going to do. Cut taxes very substantially and create a great economy like I did before. We had the greatest economy. We got hit with a pandemic, and the pandemic was not since 1917, where 100 million people died. Has there been anything like it? We did a phenomenal job with the pandemic. We handed them over a country where the economy...
Because, and that's what I'm saying. The issue with Kamala, if I had to home it down, is two things. She has no conviction, in my opinion. And number two, I don't think, it comes back to conviction. And so she's like a Manchurian candidate. So you don't know who is calling the shots behind the scenes if she's in there, to be honest with you. You really don't. And if I knew, you may be able to make a judgment call on that, but come on now.
and where the stock market was higher than it was before the pandemic came in. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. We made ventilators for the entire world. We got gowns, we got masks, we did things that nobody thought possible. And people give me credit for rebuilding the military. They give me credit for a lot of things, but not enough credit for the great job we did with the pandemic. But the only jobs they got were bounce back jobs. These were jobs bounce back, and it bounced back and it went to their benefit. But I was the one that created.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, you got two people that definitely are pro police. You know, when it comes down to it, truth be told, Obama, you know, Obama did get black folks out of jail, black men out of jail, and he does need to have credit for that. But and I don't believe Kamala's do that. I believe Kim Kardashian would get more black men out of jail than Kamala. But you know,
Created them. They know it, and so does everybody else.
Vice President Harris, I'll let you respond.
So Donald Trump has no plan for you. And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people. I am offering what I describe as an opportunity economy, and the best.
the thing that kills. Here's the thing that kills me about that. Biden is a credit card senator. Biden, Delaware is where all Visa, Master, all those credit cards are. The banks, credit cards are banks. And high interest banks. You know this. So when you look at what Biden did the same thing. When it came down to it, we can argue why it needed to be done, but he did do that. Biden protected the banks. And I can be cool with that if Biden wouldn't have let folks buy real estate like he did. So ultimately, what you're accusing Trump of doing, Biden did. Biden did. Like again, you know, and so at the end of the day, Kamala has not said she would do anything different. Kamala is not saying, well, we're going to pivot and focus more on the middle class versus the other folks. She's saying that. But when you say opportunity economy, okay, I want you to understand something. As somebody that I have a 9-to-5 job, I'm in middle management. I do, you know, digital, you know, entrepreneurship and stuff like that. When I hear opportunity, I don't hear employment. I hear you have to put in money to make money. That's what I hear. So when I'm saying opportunity, that sounds like some Republican shit. That sounds like, you know, some you better learn how to sell some products and services. And if you're an immigrant or a migrant, yeah, you may be able to make that work, but that don't sound like jobs. That I ain't heard her say jobs. She's saying opportunity and middle class small business owner. She ain't said jobs once, and she a Democrat.
Economists in our country, if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse. Mine would strengthen the economy. What
Goldman Sachs have said, aka the same Goldman Sachs that has benefited. Please, you can't trust nothing they say. You can't trust what people say in other places of the world, because they want America to still be imperialistic. So of course they're going to side with Harris. Harris is the continuity of what America's doing now. Trump is not.
Wharton School has said is Donald Trump's plan would actually explode the deficit. 16 Nobel laureates.
The deficit is already exploded. Like, we are so far past the deficit being exploded. Like, that stuff doesn't even like compute when people say that. Like I mean, at the end of the day, you know, I agree with the Trump tax cuts? No, I actually do not agree with them. And I do agree with kind of letting those slide. Or if you're going to keep them, there has to be conditions to that. But stop the gaslighting.
Have described his economic plan as something that would increase inflation and by the middle of next year would invite a recession. You just have to look.
We're in like man.
Look at where we are and where we stand on the issues. And I'd invite you to know that Donald Trump actually has no plan.
You keep saying that like it's obvious, like you've been out here telling people what you say. It took you all this time. Like, you really gonna tell me this? Like, she didn't say this in the DNC. This opportunity economy, I would challenge anybody to show me any clips of her even mentioning this. This sounds like something she came up with the debate. And if you actually dig into what that is, like, talk about we're gonna invest in a small bit, and so is everybody all the time. That doesn't mean anything because oh man.
Plan for you because he is more interested in defending himself than he is in looking out for you.
That's just a soundbite. They gave her that to say. Look, I went to.
Oh shit. Oh man.
The Wharton School
And
of
I swear, on God, I didn't hear that first.
Finance, and many of those professors, the top professors, think my plan is a brilliant plan. It's a great plan. It's a plan that's going to bring up our worth, our value as a country. It's going to make people want to be able to go and work and create jobs and create a lot of good, solid money for our country.
Now, to be fair for Trump, what you should have did, you should have started naming names. Like you gotta say, like, don't say, well, okay, what you said, but this is what they said about mine. You gotta start naming names. This person and this professor has said this. But see, if you do that, then they're gonna be mad. But then it's just y'all just both talking shit
for our country. And just to finish off, she doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run. 4 sentences that are just, oh, we'll try and lower taxes. She doesn't have a plan. Take a look at her plan. She doesn't have a plan.
Mr. President, I do want to drill down on something you both brought up. The vice president brought up your tariffs. You responded, and let's drill down on this because
I mean, I'm be fair. They're being cool so far, and it's a black woman there, so black women can't be mad.
Your plan,
black woman and a white man, so I guess. But so far,
is what she calls
they're being fair.
It's essentially a national sales tax. Your proposal calls for tariffs, as you pointed out here, on foreign imports across the board. You recently said that you might double your plan, imposing tariffs up to 20% on goods coming into this country. As you know, many economists say that with tariffs at that level, costs are then passed on to the consumer. Vice President Harris has argued it'll mean higher prices on gas, food, clothing, medication, arguing it costs the typical family nearly $4,000 a year. Do you believe Americans can afford higher?
I mean, my thing is, if Trump is talking about what he did before, I mean, we experienced that, and
prices because of tariffs.
They're not going to have higher prices. What's going to have and who's going to have higher prices is China and all of the countries that have been ripping.
Basically, here's the thing: the idea of a tariff. This is me taking what he's saying at face value. Is that if basically the idea is the reason you're tariffing these products is for America. The reason you tariff stuff is to limit how much they're being sold. That's what it is. It's to redirect what people are buying. So so now when he says across the board, I don't believe it's going to be across the board, because then you can make an argument of a sales tax like that, because then nobody has options. But and then you have to understand tariffs have to be approved by Congress. So he can say that shit all day, every day. But the reality is you can't do tariffs as an executive order. You have to get Congress to pass that. And so that's kind of why I'm like, okay, she can say that, but that's not, you're not going to get a bill that's going to create that, because then Congress is going to pay for that too. And Congress will pay for that a lot sooner than he will. So I don't really take that seriously. I do believe he's going to try to do a lot of tariffs. I do believe he tends to say across the board because huge, and he does need to be more clear in what he's saying. But he's but that's not his communication style, and that's not me making excuses for it. It just is what it is.
Us off for years. I was the only president ever. China was paying us hundreds of billions of dollars, and so were other countries. And if she doesn't like them, they should have gone out and they should have immediately cut the tariffs. But those tariffs are there 3.5 years now under their.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of those things that shows if it was that bad, they would have removed it. Just like if Bush's Patriot Act stuff was that bad, his executive orders, Obama would have gave them up, but he didn't.
Administration, we are going to take in billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. I had no
make sure y'all support, the Cash App as per always. Hit up that gas money.
Inflation, virtually no inflation. They had the highest inflation perhaps in the history.
I don't know about that.
Of our country, because I've never seen a worse period of time. People can't go out and buy cereal or bacon or eggs or anything else. The people of our country.
And see the argument is that we got to deal with inflation because the previous 4 years, all of that hammered. But if that's the truth, then y'all shouldn't have been lying. Here's the problem. The problem is y'all, rather than blaming Trump for it, y'all have been lying about how good the economy is. Y'all are lying about it. And that's the problem. And that kind of incentivized y'all think it's on you.
They are absolutely dying with what they've done. They've destroyed the economy. And all you have to do is look at a poll. The polls say 80 and 85 and even 90% that the Trump economy was great, that their economy was terrible.
Vice President Harris, I do want to ask for your response. And you heard what the president said there, because the Biden administration did keep a number of the Trump tariffs in place. So how do you respond?
Well, let's be clear that the Trump administration resulted in a trade deficit, one of the highest we've ever seen in the history of America. He invited trade wars. You want to talk about his deal with China, what he ended up doing?
I mean, I'm not against trade wars. I mean, to be honest with you, sometimes some of this stuff needs to be rattled. I mean, the status quo has been for NATO not paying for their own shit. Much appreciated to the Cash App, man. Much appreciated. Shout out, let me see. Shout out to Red M for the 25. Shout out to all y'all. Hold on, I'm gonna get to all y'all, man, for real.
Doing is under Donald Trump's presidency, he ended up selling American chips to China to help them improve and modernize their military. Basically,
man, get out of here. We gave them the generate. He sold them the chips. He sold them the chips that they were already able to get. That is not the same as the good chips. That is not the same as the good chips. The good chips. So stop. You have like the Taiwanese can make. Okay, so let me make this clear. It's Taiwan, and then it's another company, I believe, in the Netherlands. But that company is an alternative, but Taiwan is still number one. But that company is like a close number two. They make the best chips. Taiwan, so their generation chips is like a generation above everybody else's. We can make like a generation below them, and China is like one below that. We gave them the generation below what we can make. So we didn't know. So that's not what happened, because they needed more chips. And the thing about it is China has it's like minerals that needs to go in these phones. So it's kind of like a quote pro with that. So that's all that is. She's making that sound like it's worse than what it is.
Sold us out, when a policy about China should be in making sure the United States of America wins the competition for the 21st century.
Yo, and Trump also brought in a big reason you have that factory in Arizona, which by the way is having some fun, because these Taiwanese think they're gonna run Americans like they run Taiwanese, which white people don't do that, by the way. That's a whole nother thing. But I don't know why this is. So shout out to Red M with the 25. Much appreciated, bro. For real. Shout out to Akil Rafi, with the $20. Shout out to Bless Man with the 5. Smooth with the 10. James Wingate with the $2. All dollars matter. $4 is like worth 1,000 views, so $2 is worth 500. Obviously y'all know, y'all can calculate, how much y'all help it with the 25 and 20. $1 is shout out to Landon. That's like 250 views. That is how what you do. Shout out to James Wingate with the earlier $2. Mark with the earlier $2 before. Much appreciate the support.
Which means focusing on the details of what that requires, focusing on relationships with our allies, focusing on investing in American-based technology so that we win the race on AI, on quantum computing, focusing on what we need to do to support America's workforce so that we don't end up having on the short end of the stick in terms of workers' rights. But what Donald Trump did, let's talk about this, with COVID, is he actually thanked President Xi for what he did during COVID. Look at his tweet. Thank you, President Xi, !
Okay. And what does that mean? Like, are we really going to have a comparison game with what the Biden administration has been doing behind the scenes with Trump? I mean, y'all been doing some deep state shit. Like that ain't nothing compared to what y'all been doing.
When we know that she was responsible for lacking and not giving us transparency about the origins of COVID.
Oh, okay. So now, hold on. What was that? What did you just say? That sound like some I don't know, guys, that sound like some Asian hate to me, man. That sound like some Asian hate.
You agreed to stay away! I lied.
That sounds like some Asian hate to me, because whenever anybody said that remember when Trump used to say that China was the origin of it. China, he used to say that up and down. And guess what? That's Asian hate. We need to pass a bill to protect the Asians because it's Asian hate. That sound like you kind of low-key knew that shit. But let's go.
President Trump, I'll let you respond.
First of all, they bought their chips from Taiwan. We hardly make
I
chips.
mean, I ain't gonna lie. Look, and say what you want to about Kamala. At the very least, at least so far, she don't look like a deer in headlights. She don't look, but she also ain't slicing and dicing like no prosecutor like they be trying to front either. Remember, she didn't take a lot of cases to court. So this idea, she wasn't that type of prosecutor. She wasn't a few good men prosecutor. So don't act like she be just slicing and dicing. Like people were kind of hyping her up. But she's holding her own, but she's hanging on. I'll say that she's hanging on.
Chips anymore because of philosophies like they have and policies like they have. I don't say her because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat.
Yeah. And this is important because this stuff shows that he noticed. Yeah, I told you she taking Vance's policy because Trump wasn't even talking about all that newborn child shit. That's some Vance shit.
She's gone to my philosophy, but if she ever got elected, she'd change it, and it will be the end of our country. She's a Marxist. Everybody knows.
No, she's not. Oh, this is typical Republican shit. No, she's not a Marxist. She is not. Trust me, Kamala knows she wouldn't have been able to get to where she got if she was a Marxist. And here's the thing: if you believe she's a Marxist, then you believe she would actually funnel money out of the rich, which a lot of people kind of think should happen. It's not that people just think all of rich people money should be taken, but it's just with us about to having to go to war, knowing their kids ain't going to war and stuff like that. So that actually wouldn't harm her. That's why I don't know why I see ads constantly. She's a Marxist. She's a Marxist. No, she's not. Biden is not a Marxist. I don't know why y'all say that shit. Y'all need to graduate from that Republican shit.
She's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics. And
her father, she never mentions. That's true. But her father, she never mentions.
He taught her well. But when you look at what she's done to our country, and when you look at these millions and millions of people.
Kamala's a lot of things. Kamala is not a Marxist. Understand, you can't. Come on. Kamala couldn't get to where she is at any level with that philosophy. Let's just, them AKAs are not Marxists. Her dad may have been on that shit, but she's not on that. So we don't tell lies here.
That are pouring into our country monthly, where it's, I believe, 21 million people, not the 15 that people say.
The thing about this is, I can tell the goal here is can she get through this without blowing herself up? And can she get through this and look like she can stand toe to toe? That's the goal here. If she does that, they're gonna spin that. Can she acquit herself long enough to make this spinnable? Spinnable. That's the idea.
And I think it's a lot higher than the 21. That's bigger than New York State pouring in. And just look at what they're doing to our country. They're criminals. Many of these people coming in are criminals. And that's bad for our economy, too. You mentioned before, we'll talk about immigration later. Well, bad immigration is the worst thing that can happen to our economy. They have, and she has, destroyed our country with policy that's insane. Almost policy that you'd say they have to hate our country.
President Trump, thank you. Lindsay?
I want to turn to the issue of abortion.
I mean, the thing is, that's that typical Republican. They have to hate our country. Like, you got to be, like, you're going to have to do more. You're going to have to dice her up better than that. Like that, they hate our country, The thing is, Kamala doesn't give off the I hate America in secret. She, that the secret type of look. She just doesn't ooze that. And it's harder to imbue stuff like that on a woman. It's harder, maybe Hillary, but than it is. That's not going to work.
And President Trump, you've often touted that you were able to kill Roe v. Wade. Last year, you said that you were proud to be the most pro-life president in American history. Then last month, you said that your administration would be great for women and their reproductive rights. In your home state of Florida, you surprised many with regard to your 6-week abortion ban.
I don't know who this chick is, but this chick should have been at that black journalism thing. She probably don't ride with the ratchet.
Because you initially...
But she God, come on, man. All them shoulder pads. Come on. Whoever gave you that needs to be smacked.
It said that it was too short. And you said, quote, I'm going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. But then the very next day, you reversed course and said you would vote to support.
I mean, I don't like to throw out these terms, fascists and stuff like that. Do you have more authoritarian presidents than others? Sure. But, and then you got to ask yourself, Trump has been through the court system in a negative way. So I'm sure that it's influenced how he thinks about stuff, too.
support the 6-week ban. Vice President Harris says that women shouldn't trust you on the issue of abortion because you've changed your position so many times. Therefore, why should they trust you?
So the reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is they have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, who's doing an excellent job, but the governor before, he said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby. And that's why I did that, because that predominates.
That's out there. I've heard women talk about post-birth abortions. The fact that I've even heard women utter that out of their mouth is like crazy to me.
Because they're radical. The Democrats are radical in that. And her vice presidential pick, which I think was a horrible pick, by the way, for our country, because he is really out of it. But her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month is absolutely fine. He also says execution after birth. It's execution, no longer abortion, because the baby is born, is okay. And that's not
The thing, that's that death panel stuff. And the thing about it is, we already know what it is. What women really care about is they want to take men out of the conversation when it comes to abortion. That's really what it is. And the problem is we got to pay for it. So you can't take us out of the conversation. If you all, well, you can't tell us what to do our body, then just don't have kids. I mean, it's really that simple if you want to play that game. But ultimately, we're on the hook regardless.
not okay with me, hence the vote. But what I did is something for 52 years. They've been trying to get Roe v. Wade into the states. And through the genius and heart and
at the end of the day, and I wish Trump would low-key say this, one of the biggest reasons why the Supreme Court justice went the way that they went is because Ruth Bader Ginsburg left. Y'all can blame Trump all you want to. Technically, what he did wouldn't have been possible without her. So you can get mad all you want to. A woman did that. And that's they'll act like they won't say nothing, but that's low-key gonna be her legacy too. You would still have Roe v. Wade if Ruth Bader Ginsburg would have actually just bowed out before she died.
strength of 6.
As soon as Trump got elected, as soon as she saw that but I personally think she never thought he would win.
Supreme Court justices, we were able to do that. Now, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly in it. Ronald Reagan did also. 85% of Republicans do. Exceptions. Very important. But we were able to get it, and now states are voting on it. And for the first time.
Problem is they want to try to make exceptions the rule to act like, oh, well, this has happened because this is this. I mean, you could say that about anything. So that's a story that people are telling.
You're going to see, look, this is an issue that's torn our country apart for 52 years. Every legal scholar, every Democrat, every Republican, liberal, conservative, they all wanted this issue to be brought back to the states where the people could vote. And that's what happened. Now, Ohio, the vote was somewhat liberal. Kansas, the vote was somewhat liberal, much more liberal than people would have thought. But each individual state is voting. It's the vote of the people now. It's not.
Notice like you can kind of look at this as like a barometer for everything else he says. Notice how convicted he is in that, because he definitely believes that he's on the right with that.
Tied up in the federal government. I did a great service in doing it. It took courage to do it. And the Supreme Court had great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice President, I want to get your response to President Trump.
Well, as I said, you're going to hear a bunch of lies, and that's not actually a surprising.
Well, it doesn't matter if it's legal. The point is they said it. And this idea and the reality is you can take it up to like right before they're born. You can. So let's stop playing games. And let's stop playing games like the whole truth about abortion, about the in vitro, about how they get the what are the cells and stuff. There's a lot of stuff that folks don't talk about. Even Trump isn't going to bring out to the truth. And notice how she's going to, there is no state where it's legal to kill a child because it's murder. You know.
In fact, let's understand how we got here. Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did exactly as he intended. And now in over 20 states, there are Trump abortion bans, which make it criminal for a doctor or nurse to provide health care. In one state, it provides prison for life. Trump abortion bans that make no exception even for rape and incest, which understand what that means. A survivor of a crime of violation to their body does not have.
I mean, at the end of the day, man, like, y'all, like, it's way more important things. I'm sorry. And you can say this as a guy that's childless. It's way more important things than abortion. I'm sorry. Like, if y'all feel that strongly about it, y'all need to go and vote in your state. Women are a bigger majority vote than men. Y'all need to vote that in your states. Because truth be told, no matter what Kamala says, Kamala can't reverse that. What Trump did is irreversible. Kamala cannot reverse it. We're not opening up the Constitution because you're not going to get enough men to do that. We're not, and you're not going to get enough Republicans to flip back, to create a national thing, which you really can't. So all this is just cap.
They have the right to make a decision about what happens to their body next. That is immoral. And one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government and Donald Trump certainly should not be telling a woman.
I mean, notice how convicted she is with it. This is like clear rhetoric. I mean, this is coming from a chick that don't even have kids.
What to do with her body. I have talked with women around our country. You want to talk about this is what people wanted? Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term.
Like what I would have said, what I would, you know what I would have said, and this will piss people off, but I would have said it. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna tell you something. You're not gonna like it, and I'm gonna say it. This wouldn't have even been possible if Ruth Bader Ginsburg wouldn't have died in office. The reality of the situation is, if y'all were that convicted about it, you should have forced her out. You should have forced her out. But see, that opens him up to like term limits for Supreme Court. Which, by the way, I don't think you can enforce term limits on the Supreme Court.
Suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care.
Look, this is the most convicted. Now, obviously, I've sped this video up to catch up. Notice this is the most convicted I've ever heard her talk about anything. That's low-key telling me she might have an abortion or two in the closet.
In an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot. She didn't want that. Her husband didn't.
She's painting a vivid story.
Want
Now,
that?
I bet you that black woman won't correct that shit.
A 12 or 13-year-old survivor of incest being forced to carry a pregnancy to term? They don't want that. And I pledge to you, when Congress passes a bill to put back in place the protections of Roe v.
That's a lie. They don't have that power. They don't have that power. So she's lying when she says that. They don't have that ability. And when you say Congress, Republicans are not doing that. You're not going to get Republicans to do that. Not that. That's done. So, and you don't have the power to make that happen as a president. So you're really lying to women. You're doing it what Biden did with the student loan debt.
Wade, as president of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. But understand, if Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. Understand, in his Project 20.
Obama, no, number one, he doesn't have that ability to do that. And Democrats they're not going to have a strong enough White House to do that. And no, that's not what he's going to do. Understand, like, this is like where she, like, pay attention to how she is so convicted on this. That should tell you a lot about, the rhetoric.
2025, there would be a national abortion, a monitor that would be monitoring your pregnancies, your miscarriages. I think the American people believe.
Now, is this black chick gonna correct her on that bullshit? Cause that's some cat. She running that game. She selling, boy. Like, this is low key exploitive. Like how she's women in our bodies, and oh my god, this is what's happening. Yeah. Remember, Trump has 2 daughters. People forget that. Tiffany and Ivanka. Remember that. He ain't no...
That certain freedoms, in particular the freedom to make decisions about one's own body, should not be made by the government.
Thank you, Vice President Harris.
It's so funny to say that, but the vaccines, though, like, that's a funny...
She goes again, it's a lie. I'm not signing a ban, and there's no reason to sign a ban because we've gotten what everybody wanted. Democrats, Republicans, and everybody else, and every legal scholar wanted it to be brought back into the states, and the states are voting. And it may take a little time, but for 52 years, this issue has torn our country apart, and they've wanted it back in the states. And
it's not going to be fixed because women, the reality is, and I said this before, I'm going to say it again, women do not want men to be able to vote on shit when it comes to that shit because they think it's their bodies. And my thing is, you all need to carry the full burden of it, because the reality is, if we're going to keep it real, the reason why you all don't die as much when it comes to pregnancy, the reason why you even have the ability to have an abortion, all of that technology is created by men. The reality is, you would not have this ability to do this. Abortion is not natural. So the only reason you even have the opportunity to do that is because of the civilization men built and the technology. And women forget that. And so the way you operate is not possible without the tech that men put together. Not women, men.
Did something that nobody thought
Most of your abortion clinic people that put that together are men.
it was possible. The states are now voting. What she says is an absolute lie. And as far as the abortion ban, no, I'm not in favor of abortion ban, but it doesn't matter because this issue has now been taken over by the states. Which is fertilization. The IVF, I have been, she'd never be able to get it, just like she couldn't get student loans. They couldn't get student loans. They didn't even come close to getting student loans. They taunted young people and a lot of other people that had loans. They can never get this approved. So it doesn't matter what she says about going to Congress. So wonderful. Let's go to Congress. Do it. Impossible for her to get the vote, especially now. Impossible for her to get
To their body next. That is immoral.
What she says is an absolute lie. And as far as the abortion ban, no, I'm not in
I
favor
was about to skip it, but it was getting good.
of abortion ban, but it doesn't matter because this issue has now been taken over by the states.
Would you veto a national abortion ban if it
Well, I
came to
won't
your
have to because, again, two things. Number one, she said she'll go back to Congress. She'll never get the vote. It's impossible for her to get the vote, especially now with the 50-50, essentially 50-50 in both Senate and the House. She's not going to get the vote. She can't get the vote. She won't even come close to it. So it's just talk. You know what it reminds me of when they said they're going to get student loans terminated, and it ended up being a total catastrophe. The student loans, and then I think probably her boss, if you call him a boss, he spends all his time on the beach. But look,
You know, a lot of folks waited for them student loans, but a lot of folks waited for them student loans, y'all.
her boss went out and said, we'll do it again. We'll do it a different way. And he went out, got rejected again by the Supreme Court. So all these students got taunted with this whole thing about this whole idea. And how unfair that would have been, part of the reason they lost, to the millions and millions of people that
I
had
bet you she practiced that shit. Trump just said, I'm going to go with the stone face.
to pay off their student loans. They didn't get it for free. But they were saying it's the same way that they talked about that they talk about abortion.
But if I could just get a yes or no, because your running mate, J.D. Vance, has said that you would veto it if it did come to your desk.
Well, I didn't discuss it with J.D. In all fairness, J.D., and I don't mind if he has a certain view, but I think he was speaking for me, but I really didn't. Look, we don't have to discuss it because she'd never be able to get it, just like she couldn't get student.
And to be fair, he said what JD said he would. He gonna say, I'm gonna have a conversation. Don't say I said some shit down. He say, dude, well, I just assume, I know you assume. Assumption is the mother of all, you know. Finish it. Finish it, JD. Yeah, and you can make a judgment call on that. But again, Trump has two daughters.
Loans. They couldn't get student loans. They didn't even come close to getting student loans. They taunted young people and a lot of other people that had loans. They can never get this approved. So it doesn't matter what she says about going to Congress. So wonderful. Let's go to Congress. Do it. But the fact is that for years, they wanted to get it out of Congress and out of the federal government. And we did something that everybody said couldn't be done. And now you have a vote of the people on abortion.
Vice President Harris, I want to give you your time to respond, but I do want to ask, would you support any restrictions on a woman's right to an abortion?
I absolutely support reinstating the protections of Roe v. Wade. And as you rightly mentioned, nowhere in America is a woman carrying a pregnancy to term and asking for an abortion. That is not happening. It's insulting to the women of America. And understand what has...
That's actually not true. That's actually not really true. Women talk about post-birth like they say it flipping in their mouth. And by the way, what the fuck do you think when people leave their kids in a car hot? What the fuck do you think that is? You really think they just forgot? You really believe that? So I'm not saying it's a big thing. I personally think paternity fraud is way bigger of an issue, but we can play that game. We can play that game.
been happening under Donald Trump's abortion bans.
We dealing with boys that can't read. Don't play with me.
Couples who pray and dream of having a family are being denied IVF treatments.
Notice like notice how when it comes to this stuff, she's got stories. She's confident. Like notice that, like on this. But anything outside of this, I'm waiting for it. They trying to get in vitro and I'm like, this is where you gonna sell it, huh?
Happening in our country. Working people, working women who are working 1 or 2 jobs, who can barely afford childcare
they can barely afford childcare, but they need in vitro. Oh my God. Like, this is some exploitative shit.
It is, have to travel to another state to get on a plane sitting next to strangers to go and
oh shit. But she landed on thick, man. She is landed on thick.
Get the health care she needs. Barely can afford to do it, and what you are putting her through is unconscionable. And the people of America the majority of Americans believe in a woman's right to make decisions about her own body, and that is why in every state where this issue has been on the ballot, in red and blue states both, the people of America have voted for freedom.
Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you!
That's what Trump wants to do.
Vice President Harris,
Excuse me, I
thank
have
you.
to respond. Another lie. It's another lie. I have been a leader on IVF, which is fertilization. The IVF, I have been a leader. In fact, when they got a very negative decision on IVF from the Alabama courts, I saw the people of Alabama and the legislature 2 days later voted it in. I've been a leader on it. They know that, and everybody else knows it. I have been a leader on fertilization, IVF. And the other thing, you should ask, will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do that? Why don't you answer that question?
Why don't you
That's
answer the
problem.
question? Would you
Because
veto?
under Roe v.
Answer the
Wade,
question,
you
would you
could
I mean, I would say, yeah, I would veto. The answer is, I'll think about it.
you could do abortions in the 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th
That's
month,
not true.
and probably after birth. Just look.
Yes, you. Now, Trump's got to stop with that after birth shit. I get it. I get it. But you got to leave that alone. If you're gonna say that 7th, 8th, 9th, and yeah, they do. They call it the birth of the child thing. They do. Now, in most states, you can't do that. In most states, women aren't fighting for that. But I personally don't give a shit about it. My thing is paternity. I'm gonna keep it real. I am perfectly happy with I am perfectly for, women, Roe v. Wade. I'm perfectly for that. I just want paternity. I just want you to establish paternity. That's where I am. And as far as I'm fucking concerned, you don't need to have it unless you can. Unless we have a paternity clause that goes along with it, then y'all don't need to have it. Y'all, I'm all for, insurance plans having, morning after pills and stuff like that. But outside of that, no, I don't want to play that game.
Look at the former governor of Virginia. The governor of Virginia said we put the baby aside and then we determine what we want to do with the baby.
President Trump, thank you.
We're going to turn now to immigration and border security. We know it's an issue that's important to Republicans, Democrats, voters across the board in this country. Vice President Harris, you were tasked by President Biden with getting to the root causes of migration from Central America. We know that illegal border crossings reached a record high in the Biden administration.
I'm going for Kamala. I ain't going for nobody.
This past June, President Biden imposed tough new asylum restrictions. We know the numbers since then have dropped significantly. But my question to you tonight is, why did the administration wait until 6 months before the election to act? And
I'm still like, is it still going? People can say own her, but you gotta understand. I'm looking at it, seeing it's still on. But y'all gotta understand, Kamala doesn't have to beat Trump. Kamala just has to look confident. That's really her thing. And if Trump looks like he's trying too hard, or putting a serious effort in, that actually helps her. So I'm not talking about this from a fuck Kamala, I don't like Kamala's standpoint. I'm talking this from a straight up marketing standpoint. Because everybody's not gonna have the opinions that we're gonna have. It's just not.
Have done anything differently from
and one of the things that people are going to be looking at is she going to shrivel up if she's right next to him, or is she going to be able to stand with him? And the question, I think this is where the spin is going to come in. Who do you think did a better job, Kamala or Biden? If Kamala did a better job than Biden, then they're going to consider that a win for her side. I don't see any I don't see where he's knocked her down. Knocked her down. And the thing is, she has more to gain from this debate than Trump.
President Biden on this.
So I'm the only person on this stage who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings. And let me say
you've also prosecuted women for their knucklehead kids not going to school, but okay.
The United States Congress, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, came up with a border security bill, which I supported. And that...
Yeah, so the question is you have to ask yourself is, how much do they have to reach in order to come up with that conclusion? Do they have to completely turn the cap on the 10,000, or can it be relative, with them? And honestly, I wouldn't say she's winning, but I wouldn't say she's losing either. From what she has to do in this debate, to stay in the race, to stay competitive, to be in position to try to win it, she hasn't fucked it up yet from what I've seen. And that's just the truth. If you here's the thing. If you're somebody that you're just for her and you're all of that, she is not giving you anything to be like, oh.
Bill would have put 1,500 more border agents on the border to...
Remember, people are expecting her to shrivel up. People are expecting her to be scared. And the thing about it is, if she can get right in front of this man and then be able to do shit, I don't see why you can't talk to the media.
help those folks who are working there right now overtime trying to do their job. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States. I know there are so many families watching tonight who have been personally affected by the surge of fentanyl in our country. That bill would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute transnational criminals.
Hey, get the fuck out of here, because y'all didn't say that when the bill was there. Like, again, you can do an individual bill on that. That shit is affecting white people. So you all can definitely do an individual bill on that. Don't try to act like this is that he killed the bill bullshit.
Organizations for trafficking in guns, drugs, and human beings. But you know what happened to that bill? Donald Trump got on the phone, called up some folks in Congress and said, kill the bill. And you know why? Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And understand, this comes at a time where the people of our country actually need a leader who engages in solutions, who actually addresses the problems at hand. But what we have in the former president is someone who would prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And I'll tell you something, he's going to talk about immigration a lot tonight, even when it's not the subject that is being raised. And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom. And I will tell you, the one thing you will not hear him talk about is you. You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams, and your desires. And I'll tell you, I believe you deserve a president who actually puts you first. And I pledge to you that I will.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, on that point, I want to get your response.
Well, I would like to respond.
Let me just ask, though, why did you try to kill that bill, and successfully so? That would have put thousands of additional agents and officers on the border.
First, let me respond to the rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there and then showing them in a different light. So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people...
You can't talk about his rallies. You can talk about a lot of shit. You can't talk about his rallies.
Want to take their country back. Our country is being lost. We're a failing nation. And it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating. They're eating.
I heard that when I was watching TV. I was like, oh my God. Why? Even if that's true. Oh, I'm going to tell you, that's a fucking T-ball pitch right there. You can hear the laugh. It's like,
Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! John!
Eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country. And it's a shame. As far as rallies are concerned.
That's an L. You already know, fuck anything that has been said. It don't matter. Unless she fucking trips over one of her heels or some shit like that. Yo, and Kamala's got some memes out there too, talking about some tub and some shit she be saying. But a couple of clips. But that shit, oh yeah, you know they gonna have fun with that shit. They eat the dogs. They eat the cats, goddammit. The niggas, not the cats, nigga. Not the cats. That's crazy. That's crazy. No, I mean, you can say that because that's some funny shit. That's some ridiculous shit. Nobody's gonna be like, "Oh, she smiled when eating a cat." Nah, that's not gonna work.
As far as
that's gonna be the only thing motherfuckers gonna be talking about. You done pretty much. Here's the thing why that's bad. Because number one, that is up there in some shit that Trump has even said. That's got to be like top 5 of craziest thing he's ever said. And number two, you would pretty much let her off the fucking hook, because people gonna say no matter what, they're gonna say, you know what, she didn't say motherfuckers was eating dogs and cats though. Yeah, she, so so you basically gave her an out.
The reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase, make America great again. She's destroying this country. And if she becomes president, this country doesn't have a chance of success. Not only success, we'll end up being Venezuela on steroids.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here,
the people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
but
television.
The people on television saying the dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that.
I mean, of course they're going to say that. Why would they say that? And that's what he's trying to say. He shouldn't have brought it up, but why are they going to? Yes, that's what's happening. Because then the natural next question is, what are you doing about it? Doing about it. And so again, and I'm gonna tell you right now, and this is what the media is gonna do at first, and then they'll switch. Like maybe 2 years in or something, they're gonna lie. And I'm not even talking about the cat thing, but as far as, and shout out to Red Supreme, he did a real great video, not on the cat thing, but like it was a white dude that went right there and talked to them Venezuelans in Spanish, and he's a white dude, speaks Spanish, and a white dude, not a Hispanic white dude. And then they told him, not the cat stuff, but they told him about what was going on with the gangs, and those city managers and everything also said none of that was happening, even though the apartment complex folks won't go there. And then now they start to talk about, oh, well, we don't have enough police. We don't have this. So what they're going to do is they're going to create this phalanx until they can't. It's the same thing with Biden. The thing about it, and I don't co-sign that dog cat shit at all, and that's what everybody's going to say. You really go deal with the dude that said they're eating dogs and cats? Like, motherfuckers, understand that there's a lot of black people that think a lot of your Chinese food has dogs, cats. So let's stop trying to act like that's like the most ridiculous thing ever to be said. You ain't never heard nobody say no shit. Because understand in China, yeah, that shit does happen. So let's just cut the bullshit. You know, for instance, in France, they actually eat horse. That is a delicacy in France, and that's not like a crazy, like, oh my God, that's not like buffalo meat in fucking United States where, yeah, it can be eaten, but most people do it. No, that's something they eat for real. You don't know about that. So, but they're gonna make that ridiculous, and he shouldn't have said it. He shouldn't have said it. That's some crazy shit, and that's gonna make him look crazy. But the most thing is you gave her an out. That's what you did, and so that's on you.
Vice President Harris, I'll let you respond to the rest of what you've heard.
You talk about extreme.
And now I see why dude was talking about 3-on-1. 3-on-1. And at the end of the day, you haven't asked her anything that's like behind the scenes, you know, as far as what they've been doing. You know, like for real though. You're not. You're making it about him, which it is what it is, and that's what it was gonna be. So
You know, this is, I think, one of the reasons why in this election, I actually have the endorsement of 200 Republicans who have formerly worked with President Bush, Mitt Romney, and John McCain, including the endorsement of former Vice President Dick Cheney and Congress member Liz Cheney. And if you want to really know the
yeah, ask them why. Ask them why they really I would use that. I would be like, I want you to really ask something. Really ask yourself, why would Dick Cheney, of all the Republicans, when has Dick Cheney ever worked with Democrats other than receiving money from Nancy Pelosi for the war in Iraq? Like, that should really have you ask questions. Like, she's bragging about that. I'd be like, I wouldn't even be bragging about that, because if anything, that tells you a lot about what he wouldn't do that for. Dick Cheney doesn't do anything for no reason.
inside track on who the former president is, if he didn't make it clear already, just ask people who have worked with him. His former chief of staff, a 4-star general, has said he has contempt for the Constitution of the United States. His former national security advisor has said he is dangerous and unfit. His former secretary of defense has said the nation, the republic, would never survive another Trump term.
We weren't supposed to survive the first one. Like, that's the crazy part about it. Like, again, all of this like crazy rhetoric is just designed to have you not think.
And when we listen to this kind of rhetoric, when the issues that affect the American people are not being addressed, I think the choice is clear in this election.
President Trump, I'll give you a quick minute to respond here.
Thank you, because when I hear that, see, I'm a different kind of a person. I fired most of those people. Not so graciously. They did bad things or a bad job. I fired them. They never fired one person. They didn't fire anybody having to do with Afghanistan and the Taliban and the 13 people who's were just killed, viciously and violently killed. And I got to know the parents and the family. They didn't fire. They should have fired all those generals, all those top people, because that was one of the most incompetently handled situations anybody has ever seen. So when somebody does a bad job, I fire him. And you take a guy like Esper. He was no good. I fired him. So he writes a book. Another one writes a book, because with me, they can write books. With nobody else can they. But they have done such a poor job, and they never fire anybody. Look at the economy. Look at the inflation. They didn't fire any of their economists. They have the same people. That's a good way not to have books written about you. But just to finish, I got more votes than any Republican in history by far. In fact, I got more votes than any sitting president in history by far.
Let me continue.
Well, I mean, we have more people than we've had in the past. I don't know if that's true, to be honest with you. Honest with you, to be honest with you, and I don't believe that, to be honest with you. I don't even believe that in the Republic. I don't even believe that on Republican tip. 'Cause I doubt you got more votes than Reagan.
Continue on immigration. It was what you wanted to talk about earlier. So let's get back to your deportation proposal that the vice president has reacted to as well. President Trump, you call this the largest domestic deportation operation in the history of our country. You say you would use the National Guard. You say things get out of control. You have no problem using the U.S. military.
Police, yes.
You also said you would use local police. How would you deport 11 million undocumented immigrants? I know you believe that number is much higher. Take us through this. What does this look like? Will authorities be going door to door in this country?
Yeah, no. The plausibility of what he's saying. See, the problem is there's a lot of reasons you don't say like something like that. Number one, that's an easy sound bite. I don't know why he said that. It's not like you give her. It's just a lot of reasons not to say that, because now you're dealing with the person. Even though like it's not as implausible, but it's still on a stage like that coming out of a president. Yeah, so because it just creates conversation people want to have. But ultimately, like I said, I'll tell you right now, part of me kind of wants Kamala to win just because I'm going to be good. But a lot of motherfuckers that's going to suffer under this shit, they're going to have to hold that shit, and they're not going to be able to bitch or say nothing. Because at the end of the day, I'm always going to rewind it back here.
It is much higher because of them. They allowed criminals, many, many millions of criminals. They allowed terrorists. They allowed common street criminals. They allowed people to come in, drug dealers to come into our country. And then now in the
my thing is that's not the only issue though. Like, see, the problem is he's making it about that when in actuality the real issue is they're not telling the truth as to why people are being in here. It's not that the border is just broken. They are letting these people come in, and then you got to really ask why, in which they haven't said. BGS has obviously said, but they have not said why they're letting them in.
United States and told by their countries like Venezuela, don't ever come back or we're going to kill you. Do you know that crime in Venezuela and crime in countries all over the world is way down? You know why? Because they've taken their criminals off the street and they've given them to her to put into our country. And this will be one of the greatest mistakes in history for them to allow. And I think they probably did it because they think they're going to get votes, but it's not worth it because they're destroying the fabric of our country by what they've done. There's never been anything done like this at all. They've destroyed the fabric of our country. Millions.
Like, first of all, yeah, because at the end of the day, I already told you all once. I already fucking told you all once. I'm being actually fair to Kamala. I'm being fair to everybody. I told you all multiple times, do not come in here with that cheerleading bullshit. And I mean that. Like, what's it called? Almost got banned when he was doing that 3-on-1 thing too. Even though I understood what he was saying. So all that bullshit, when y'all come in here, that's automatic ban. I'm just telling you that right now. That's an automatic ban. I hope that was worth it. Because truth be told, I don't give a fuck who's president. If you really, because it's not gonna fuck me up. Because if you're in a situation where, like I told you, I low key kind of want Kamala to win because y'all gonna have to hold. I know what's coming, and truth be told, I don't even think Trump can solve. I don't think Trump is gonna solve a lot of these problems either. If you really want to know my honest opinion, but if she's in there, that creates a lot of interesting possibilities. That creates a lot of interesting possibilities as far as how people are going to have to respond to things, because they're not going to want to tear her down because they're going to have certain accountability to her even being in there because it's so I personally do not give a fuck. Ultimately, I don't. Because at the end of the day, like I tell you all have to be in a position where it doesn't matter. And I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about y'all gonna have to start really thinking about like looking at stuff from a global standpoint as far as how you move versus. And that's if she's in there or Trump's in there. So all this people that y'all want to, twerk your booties for Kamala, like, because you hate Trump that much. I almost want Trump if Trump loses. Because once he's done, you all can't blame him for shit no more. If he loses the election, now we move on. Now all y'all is leaning on the crunch of y'all defeated Darth Vader. Y'all want to have y'all Return of the Jedi, the Death Star 2 is gone. Now the real stuff's gonna have to get handled on what you gonna do. Because if you complain about her, remember, she's not Trump. So you must be good, right? Because you can't get rid of her. And a lot of y'all you're not going to have the crutch of Trump. And here's the thing too, is I doubt if you ever get into it, if I'm like 40, 41 or 40 and somehow she steps down, that was an absolute confirmation she should have never been president in the first place. And that's a confirmation that a lot of y'all is full of shit. That probably won't happen. what's probably going to happen is she'll do her 4 years. And if you have if she doesn't, and she's either going to have to run again and lose, or which means you're going to deal with another problem. I mean, that Project 2025 shit. And the thing is, Democrats would have been in there too long. Ain't nobody going to hear nothing. And she's not going to be the one to get another 4 years. So, or if you try to replace her for Newsom, you've already confirmed she should have never been president in the first place. And if you can do that, that means she probably wasn't really running nothing in the first place. So either way, a lot of y'all are playing games with yourselves. All this stuff she talks about abortion, she ain't going to change none of that. As far as the border, regardless of what Trump says, understand you will have an open border. They will shove as many people as they can in the country. And especially if you black, you're gonna play yourself. If you're a black female, you all are going to find out, because you all are the black men don't have a lot of resources to take. Y'all do. So all this kind of booty twerking, y'all coming in here booty twerking, y'all feel real good. Cool. I mean, this ain't that type of thing.
Of people let in, and all over the
look like he just got done sucking dick in that picture. Like you just got done glazing.
world. Crime is down all over the world except here. Crime here is up and through the roof. Despite their fraudulent statements that they made, crime in this country is through the roof. And we have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime. And it's happening at levels that nobody thought possible.
Migrant crime.
As you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. But
excuse me, the FBI they were defrauding statements. They didn't include the worst cities. They didn't include the cities with the worst crime. It was a fraud. Just like their number of 818,000 jobs that they said they created turned out to be a fraud.
President Trump, thank you. I'll let you respond, Vice President.
That actually is true. Like that is actually a great point. They keep on negotiating it. So all this like fact correcting. And my thing is, she ain't even, you notice, here's the thing about Kamala. Kamala ain't really saying nothing. That's why they ain't got a lot of facts. She's not putting herself really out there. What Kamala is doing is telling stories.
Well, I think this is so rich, coming from someone who has been prosecuted for national security crimes,
You knew that was coming.
economic crimes, election interference, has been found liable for sexual assault, and his next big court appearance is in November.
You knew that was eventually coming.
At his own criminal sentencing. And let's be clear, where each person stands on the issue of what is important about respect for the rule of law and respect for law enforcement. The former vice president called for defunding federal law enforcement, 45,000 agents, get this, on the day after he was arraigned on 34 felony counts. So let's talk about what is important in this race. It is important that we move forward, that we turn the page on this same old tired rhetoric and address.
This is the same take me as I am bullshit that black women always have. Every relationship is a new beginning to keep doing the same bullshit. It's all about turning the page. It's all about this. At the end of the day, you was in there when you knew.
The needs of
like I said, I kind of low key want to move on too, because I'm gonna keep it real. I'm tired of y'all on this Trump crutch shit. Just, oh my God, because I don't give a fuck about Trump like that. I really don't. But all of this bullshit, once Trump is out of there, I already know what a lot of y'all gonna be. Y'all gonna be quiet, y'all gonna shut the fuck up, and y'all gonna take whatever y'all get from whatever y'all get. Y'all gonna suffer in silence, because what's the alternative? The alternative is to admit that you're wrong, and that's gonna be funny to me.
of the American people, address what we need to do about the housing shortage, which I have a plan for, address what we must do to support our small.
She ain't got a plan for shit. She ain't got a plan for that housing shortage. Notice what she hasn't even said, like, the reason the housing shortage is. A big reason why the housing shortage is because they're buying up a lot of these properties, big corporations. You're not going to check that. You're not going to do that.
Businesses, address bringing down the price of groceries. But frankly, the American people are exhausted with this same old tired playbook.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
Excuse me. Every one of those cases was started by them against their political opponent. And I'm winning most of them, and I will win the rest on appeal. And you saw that with the decision that came down just recently from the Supreme Court. I'm winning most of them. But those are cases, it's called weaponization. Never happened in this country. They weaponized the Justice Department. Every one of those cases was involved with the deal.
I'm not even going to lie. Like, the reality is it is going to come off, at least the Trump supporters, that they were being biased. It is going to come off of that. And, people, the problem is with that cat shit, everybody's just going to be talking about that. But Kamala would never submit herself to like Fox News, because if anything, Fox News will ask her some questions. She's not going to submit herself to that.
OJ, from Atlanta and Fani Willis to the Attorney General of New York and the DA in New York, every one of those cases. And then they say, oh, he's a criminal. They're the ones that made them go after me. By the way, Joe Biden was found essentially guilty on the documents case. And what happened in my documents case? They said, oh, that's the toughest of them all. A complete and total victory. 2 months ago, it was thrown out. It's weaponization, and they used it, and it's never happened in this country. They used it to try and win an election. They're fake cases.
President Trump, thank you. A really quick response here, Vice President Harris, on this notion of weaponization of the Justice Department.
Well, let's talk about extreme and understand the context in which this election in 2024 is taking place. The United States Supreme Court recently ruled that the former president would essentially be immune from any misconduct if he were to enter the White House again. Understand, this is someone who has openly said he would terminate, I'm quoting, terminate the Constitution of the United States, that he would weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies. Someone who has openly expressed disdain for members of our military. Understand what it would mean if Donald Trump were back in the White House with no guardrails, because certainly
all of this is hype. All of this is just, again, he's been in the bitch the first time. All like the level of fear mongering. This is what I'm saying, because I'm gonna tell you, if you fall for the shit like that, I'm not saying you gotta vote for Trump. But if you fall for shit like that with the shit fuck Trump, what the Democrats have pulled on what's her name? The chick that checked her, put in the chat, that checked her in that previous debate. This is what they're doing now, and it's not to Trump. It's a lot of stuff. What they did to Robert F. Kennedy, not Gabby Gifford. What they did to Robert F. Kennedy, yeah, it is 3-on-1. It is 3-on-1. All that fact checking shit, like really, especially if y'all not gonna check what the fuck she's saying or not ask her questions. Because at the end of the day, let's be clear here. The shit that Trump's saying, you fact checking it don't mean shit. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. Oh yeah, nobody's there's no such thing as post, legally sanctioned post-birth abortion. There's nothing like that out there. And then all you
we know now the court won't stop him. We know JD Vance is not going to stop him. It's up to
Tulsi Gabbard. What about that? Oh, that just happened. I would ask her to her face. But she didn't have to do that much in this. Yeah.
American people
Vice
to stop
President
him.
Harris, thank you. Lindsay?
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president.
This is the one that weaponized, not me. She weaponized. I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They talk about democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy with a fake Russia investigation that went nowhere.
We have a lot to get to. Lindsay?
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president, you said you wanted to ban fracking. Now you don't. You wanted mandatory government buyback programs for assault weapons. Now you're
okay. Great. Okay, this is okay. We'll give you credit for this. Maybe they were flipping it. We'll see.
Campaign says you don't. You supported decriminalizing border crossings. Now you're taking a harder line. I know you say that your values have not changed. So then why have so many of your policy positions changed?
So let's take a moment to acknowledge that stuff. Let's take a moment and shout out to the sister for doing that. Because we're like halfway into this.
My values have not changed, and I'm going to discuss at least every point that you've made. But in particular, let's talk about fracking because we're here in Pennsylvania. I made that very clear in 2020. I will not ban fracking. I have not banned fracking as Vice President of the United States. And in fact, I was the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which opened new leases for fracking. My position is that we have got to invest in diverse sources of energy so we reduce our reliance on foreign oil. We have had the largest increase in domestic oil production in history because of an approach that recognizes that we cannot.
No, you've done that because you blew up the pipelines. You had to give up the fucking oil to Europe, which by the way are starting to get more oil from Russia now anyway. So let's stop playing that game like we're
not over rely on foreign oil. As it relates to my values, let me tell you, I grew up a middle-class kid raised by a hardworking mother.
No, she's not joking. She's not joking.
Worked and saved and was able to buy our first home when I was a teenager. The values I bring to the importance of home ownership.
Y'all got to remember, I'm playing this fast. I mean, it would be more exasperated the way I'm playing it if she was choking. She's not choking.
Not everybody got handed $400 million on a silver platter and then filed bankruptcy 6 times is a value that I bring to my work to say we are going to work with the private sector and home builders to increase by 3 million homes by the end of my first term. My work that is related to having a friend.
My thing is all this shit you saying you doing. Why was none of this shit started or even tried in the Biden administration? You got a lot of ideas. You're going to have the same administration with the same motherfuckers. Essentially, what you're saying is Biden was the impediment to all of this. And I don't believe that shit. Like, it sounds good, but this is not like, okay, well, this is like this is Bill Clinton and Al Gore's taking over for Bill Clinton. It's 8 years. It's a new. This is not that. You like. I don't believe you're getting rid of anybody in there. That shit. Oh man. But you know,
when I was in high school.
Again, the reality is Kamala does not have to. All the details really don't matter, even if you believe it. The thing that Kamala had to do was look. Her thing was she couldn't shrivel up in front of Trump, and if she didn't do that, that's actually good enough. That's the barometer. And so far, she's passed that barometer.
Who was sexually assaulted by her stepfather. And my focus then on protecting women and children from violent crime is based
Oh my God.
on a value that is deeply grounded in the importance of standing up for those who are most vulnerable. My work that is about.
But I tell you, they gave her these stories. See, these fucking stories you can't give in an interview like that. They gave her these stories, boy. She memorized these stories, man. You don't even see her say. Honestly, you don't even see her saying these stories in her rallies, boy.
Protecting Social Security and Medicare is based on long-standing work that I have done, protecting seniors from scams. My values have not changed. And what is important is that there is a president who actually brings values and perspective.
And by the way, the shit she's talking, this does not reflect her record and her history, man. Like none of the stuff she's saying really reflects that. It does not. Like she's talking about single mothers and kids. You could have came up with other stuff other than how you chose to deal with that truancy thing. And you chose to deal with it the way you chose to deal with it. Like that's crazy.
That is about lifting.
But for people that are just looking for an excuse to not vote for Trump, this is satisfactory.
People up and not beating people down. And name calling. The true measure of the leader is the.
Yeah, that Obama shit kills me. And it's I can't stand that Obama playbook because it's just so patronizing.
Leader who actually understands the strength is not in beating people down, it's in lifting people up. I intend to be that president.
President Trump,
well, first of all, I wasn't given $400 million. I wish I was. My father was a Brooklyn builder, Brooklyn, Queens, and a great father, and I learned a lot from him. But I was given a fraction of that, a tiny fraction, and I built it into many, many billions of.
Yeah, he wasn't given no $400 million. Do you know what the fuck $400 million was? Remember, Trump is old. Do you remember? Like, you're talking about what he was given that in the 80s, the 70s. Do you know how much the 80s? Do you know how much money that is? That's like $1 billion today. He was not given that much. Now, are you fact checking that? But yeah.
Dollars, many, many billions. And when people see it, they are even surprised. So we don't have to talk about that. Fracking, she's been against it for 12 years. Defund the police, she's been against that forever. She gave all that stuff up very wrongly, very horribly, and everybody's laughing at it, okay? They're all laughing at it. She gave up at least 12 and probably 14 or 15 different policies. Like, she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out, wait a minute, I'm talking now, if you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar? She went out in Minnesota and wanted to let criminals that killed people, that burned.
I'm going to tell you something. And I'm going to tell you what's really, I'm going to say it because it needs to be said. What's really where people are going to lean on is if Trump looks like he's getting annoyed, they're going to count that as an L. Like, you got to understand, if he looks like he's trying too hard and that she's like not shriveling up. And here's the thing, Trump can't go at her like he could go at Biden, or because Biden, they're the same age, so that old man shit don't matter. He can't go at her the same way. Now, when you see that JD Vance thing, that's going to be a lot more of a tussle, but he can't. So that's the thing with Obama and Clinton. You can't go at a woman like that because it looks a certain type of way. And so you have to navigate that, and that's where that angst is. But yeah.
Burned down Minneapolis. She went out and raised money to get him out of jail. She did things that nobody would ever think of. Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison. This is a radical left liberal that would do this. She wants to confiscate your guns, and she will never allow fracking in Pennsylvania. If she won the election, fracking in Pennsylvania will end on day one. Just to finish, one thing so important in my opinion.
It's possible. But the truth is, I don't believe she believes in anything. So I'm gonna keep it real. I'll say this: the one thing I think she'll be twisty on is like abortion and shit. But outside of that, it's gonna be let's do it. Why not? Who's mad? Like, is it the liberals? She don't give a fuck about if liberals are mad. Like, she don't give a fuck about if liberals are mad. Just like if Biden like her. There's a reason why Nancy Pelosi and them didn't like her. So she's not gonna give a fuck about what liberals are talking about when they do get mad about something. But yeah, especially if she's getting positive feedback.
So I got the
Oh, I actually don't believe that.
oil business going like nobody has
Plus, they gotta fund the fracking is gonna happen because they're gonna shut the liberals down. And number two, they gotta fund this war. So
ever done before. When they took over, they got rid of it, started getting rid of it, and the prices were going up the roof. They immediately let these guys go.
the thing is, whoever told her this strategy is smart. Tell stories, don't get tied down. Let him say these grandiose statements. You focus on your stories because we need to create these clips and don't look like you scared of this motherfucker. If you can do that, that's it. We'll take care of everything else. And she's doing that. You can't say she's not.
To where they were.
But at the same time, he can't really go at her too hard. And I'm not making excuses. It just is what it is. He was gonna need to figure it the fuck out.
I would have been 5 times, 4 times, 5 times higher because you're talking about 3.5 years ago. They got it up to where I was because they had no choice because the prices of energy were quadrupling and doubling. You saw what happened to gasoline. So they said, let's go back to Trump. But if she won the election, the day after that election, they'll go back to destroying our country and oil will be dead. Fossil fuel will be dead. We'll go back to windmills and we'll go back to solar where they need a whole desert to get some energy to come out. You ever see a solar plant? By the way, I'm a big fan of solar, but they take 400, 500 acres of desert soil.
President Trump, we have a
These
lot
are
of
not good
issues
things
that
for
we
the
have to get
environment.
to.
She
We're out of time.
understands.
Thank you.
Lydia, thank you. We have an election in just 56 days. And I want to talk about the peaceful transfer of power, which, of course, we all know is a cornerstone of our democracy and the role of a president in a moment of crisis. Mr. President, on January 6th, you told your supporters to march to the Capitol. You said,
No, he doesn't need to look annoyed because I'm gonna tell you why. If he looks annoyed, if he looks extra annoyed, it's extra annoyed. It's gonna be like, oh, he's aggravating him. And for people, that actually serves to give her grandiose. So it's a hard balance. It's a hard balance, man.
you would be right there with them. The country and the world saw what played out of the Capitol that day, the officers coming under attack. AIDS in the West.
By the way, shout out to Johnny Vegas. Appreciate the hard work. Edwin's book coming out, if not about social policies, but online marketing. Well, to be decided, man. But yeah, I mean, your opinion is valid. This is just my opinion. This is not like, okay, I'm right, you're wrong, but
Say you watched it unfold on television off the Oval Office. You did send out tweets, but it was more than 2 hours before you sent out that video message telling your supporters to go home. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day?
You just said a thing that isn't covered. Peacefully and patriotically. I said during my speech, not later on. Peacefully and patriotically. And nobody on the other side was killed. Ashley Babbitt was shot by an out-of-control police officer that should have never, ever shot her. It's a disgrace. But we didn't do this group of people that have been treated so badly. I ask, what about all the people that are pouring into our country and killing people that she allowed to pour in? She was the border czar. Remember that. She was the border czar. She doesn't want to be called the border czar because she's embarrassed by the border. In fact, she said at the beginning, well, I'm surprised you're not talking about the border yet. That's because she knows what a bad job they've done. What about those people? When are they going to be prosecuted? When are these people?
I mean, to be fair, I'm gonna keep it real with Kamala. It's not that I'm gonna tell you the truth. It's not that Kamala did a bad job. They intentionally let people in. Let's just call that what it is. People, from an optics standpoint, yes, she did a horrible job. But the reality is, they let people in. That's the truth. The truth is, they're letting people in on purpose. It's not no borders are you. Here's the thing. Look at all the money. This is a top-down thing because that's not just all. That's a top-down thing. The sanctuary cities, they're letting them in. So it's like, okay, we're doing a border thing. And here's the thing they don't say about the bill. The bill that Trump, quote unquote, killed, which he didn't kill, the bill, that's more of a that was and I believe that, dude. It was legal. What they've done is illegal. And it was legalizing what they have been doing. That's what they did. And that's why, a lot of folks like Trump. Here's the thing. On the one hand, you talk about 200 Republicans are just include, and Dick Cheney's a notable one. So how can he kill a bill how can he kill a bill on one side, but on the other side, you got all these Republicans, and I get they're not all senators, blah, blah, blah. I get that. But my point is they were letting people in. That's what that is. So even on that border thing, what was she actually supposed to do if the goal was to let him in? As far as I'm concerned, she took the heat because she was never supposed to run for president. So now it's kind of like it's just up there and it's up to them to be able to really sell that home. But apparently here's my thing. The problem with the border situation is, well, folks are going to fuck around and find out, and it's going to be amazing. Like, I do believe, because there's certain stuff that I'm seeing. It's certain stuff that I'm seeing even out here, and it's not too much. It's like you're going to start to see like second world conditions in certain stuff because they're just going to allow stuff to happen that just you would never conceive what happened here. And that's why I always find it funny when people kind of talk about, dirty foot stuff. A lot of dirty foot activity is going to be out here. It really is.
From countries all over the world, not just South America. They're coming in from all over the world, David, all over the world, and crime rates are down all over the world because of it.
But let me just
One of those.
Yes, it is a lot of money, but it's not $400 million. Let's just be very clear about that. $400 million is almost like is $1 billion today. 2 to 4 million. Yeah, he was New York real estate. It happens. I get that. I'm not saying he didn't have it. He didn't have stuff to work with it. I wish I had. But the thing is, that's not $400 million. If you have that kind of money, you don't really need to do anything. You can make money just by letting it sit. That's an over exaggeration of what he actually had. And that is true.
David, one of those people are going to be prosecuted. One of the people that burned down Minneapolis is going to be prosecuted. Or in Seattle, they went into Seattle. They took over a big percentage of the city of Seattle. One of those people are going to be prosecuted.
But let me just ask.
You might ask her that question.
You were the president. You were watching it unfold on television. It's a very simple question as we move forward toward another election. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day? Yes,
I had nothing to do with that other than they asked me to make a speech. I showed up for a speech. I said, I think it's going to be big. I went to Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington, D.C., and the mayor put it back in writing, as you know. I said, this is going to be a very big rally or whatever you want to call it. And again, it wasn't done by me. It was done by others. I said, I'd like to give you 10,000 National Guard or soldiers. They rejected me. Nancy Pelosi rejected me. It was just 2 weeks ago. Her daughter has a tape of her saying she is fully responsible for what happened. They want to get rid of that tape. It would have never happened if Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington did their jobs. I wasn't responsible for security. Nancy Pelosi was responsible. She didn't do her job.
The question was about you as president, not about former Speaker Pelosi, but I do want Vice President Harris to respond here.
I was at the Capitol on January 6th.
Black women, TikTok, kissing ass going about her policies, but and it's gonna be funny. It's gonna be funny because there's not gonna be an I told you so. It's just gonna be nobody saying anything. Because on the one hand, people are gonna like if you say I told you so, people are gonna lash out at you because you must be because they really want to lash out. We'll see. I hope everything is okay. I really do. Trust me, because it'll make my life a lot easier as far as stuff that I'm trying to do. But ultimately, we'll just have to see.
The vice president-elect, I was also an acting senator. I was there. And on that day, the president of the United States incited a violent mob to attack.
Here comes another story, but that's what,
our nation's capital, to desecrate our nation's capital. On that day, 140 law enforcement officers were injured, and some died. And understand, the former president has been indicted and impeached for exactly that reason. But this is not an isolated situation. Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side. Let's remember that when it came to the Proud Boys, a militia, the former president said, stand back and stand by. So for everyone watching who remembers what January 6th was, I say, we don't have to go back. Let's not go back. We're not going back. It's time to turn the page. And if that was a bridge too far for you, well, there is a place in our campaign for you to stand for country, to stand for our democracy, to stand for rule of law, and to end the chaos, and to end the...
Trump is not in there now. You're talking, it's like the shit that's going on, you're trying to blame Trump for what's going on right now. That's funny as fuck. And that's funny as fuck. It really is. The censorship. Y'all act like that motherfucker is like Palpatine and he's about to get fucking-rected. Jesus.
Approach that is about attacking the foundations of our democracy because you don't like the outcome.
Well, that's their job to coach her up. They did their job. And the question is, they do their job well. And the thing is, they can do a great job. She has to execute the strategy.
Be clear on that point. Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election, there will be a bloodbath if this and the outcome of this election is not to his liking. Let's turn the page on this. Let's not go back. Let's chart a course for the future.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, I'm telling you, she gets in there, you ain't never gonna see her, man. It's gonna be like ain't nobody's home.
Future. And not go backwards to the past.
Let me just follow up here.
It was a different term, and it was a term that related to energy because they have destroyed our energy business. That was where bloodbath was. Also, on Charlottesville, that story has been, as you would say, debunked. Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity, Jesse, all of these people, they covered it. If they go an extra sentence, they will see it was perfect. It was debunked in almost every newspaper, but they still bring it up just like they...
Yeah, you need to come up with better people than those motherfuckers, because those you got to do better than that.
Bring 2025 up. They bring all of this stuff up. I ask you this. You talk about the Capitol. Why are we allowing these millions of people to come through on the southern border? How come she's not doing anything? And I'll tell you what I would do, and I would be very proud to do it. I would say we would both leave this debate right now. I'd like to see her go down to Washington, D.C. during this debate, because we're wasting a lot of time. Go down to, because she's been so bad, it's so ridiculous. Go down to Washington, D.C. and let her sign a bill to close up the border, because they have the right to do it. They don't need bills. They have the right to do it. The president of the United States, you'll get him out of bed, you'll wake him up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you'll say, come on down to the office, let's sign a bill. If he signs a bill that the border is closed, all he has to do is say it to the Border Patrol, who are phenomenal. If they do that, the border is closed. Those people are killing.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, they're not going to do that because they're letting people in there, and Trump knows that. So it's kind of like they kind of both know, and they know why they're doing it. So,
Many people, unlike J6.
We talked immigration here tonight. I do want to focus on this next issue to both of you, because it really brings us this.
And I'm going to tell you something. Trump knew these questions were coming. And so you're going to have to, you got to stand something on there, but whatever.
Focus truth in these times that we're living in. Mr. President, for 3.5 years after you lost the 2020 election, you repeatedly falsely claimed that you won, many times saying you won in a landslide. In the past couple of weeks leading up to this debate, you have said, quote, you lost by a whisker, that you, quote, didn't quite make it, that you came up a little bit short. Are you now acknowledging that you lost in 2020?
No, I don't acknowledge it at all. I said that sarcastically. You know that. It was said, oh, we lost by a whisker. That was said sarcastically. Look, there's so much proof. All you have to do is look at it. And they should have sent it back to the legislatures for approval. I got almost 75 million votes, the most votes any sitting president has ever got.
I mean, we already know what it is. Everybody has an agenda. They're going to guide the American people where they want to guide it. And the thing you have to understand, this is why I don't like either candidate, to be honest with you. But the thing is, you all got to understand, once like certain amount of stuff makes a decision to go a certain way, I learned this with the Iraq war. There was so much other stuff that we could have did. You had China going to Africa in the East. We could have made certain things could have been done better in the West. Now you're dealing with, so Passport OG said the BRICS won. We'll see. We'll see about that. But I understand where he's coming from with that. He said that in the community tab. But the thing about it is, when they made a decision to go that way, there is just certain levers that are pressed. It's just going to go that way. And you just need to be on the ride and be in a position where you're winning and you're extracting what you need to extract out of it. This is why I keep saying black men got to be aware. And so when you look at, for instance, like what's going on here, this is why Trump wins. Everything's not going to be okay if Donald Trump wins. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's not true. All y'all thinking like the gynocracy and all, that's not true. It's not. Number one, Trump is only going to be in there 4 years. And that's at best case, he does everything right, which you won't. Kamala goes in there. We already know, like, Kamala's, I do not believe I'm going to be 42 and she's going to be, I don't even believe she's going to be running again. I think Newsom and them will usurp her. And then people are going to be like, what happened? They get in there. The instant they get in there, if they get in there, all of a sudden, it's just they're not going to care, because at the end of the day, they're in there now. So it's just going to be an absolute clusterfuck. And so, but they're going to do what they need to do. I personally think, like, all that stuff she talked about middle, that's bullshit. All that shit to me is coded language for immigrants. All of that's coded for immigrants. They have a plan. They know what they want to execute. They have an international agenda. And then they have kind of a couple of key points. And if they really knew what it was, you be on some motherfuckers would be in the streets, in my opinion. And a lot of y'all need to prepare for that, regardless. And even then, looking at the other side, you could talk about what Trump is inciting, but the reality of the situation is people are people. And to say, like, for instance, do you really believe if Donald Trump loses this election, like if y'all start politically going after him again, like you really believe that people that support Trump are just going to let you do that shit? Like, y'all really believe that? Y'all really believe y'all keep hammering people like y'all hammering people, that like folks are just going to accept y'all doing that? Like, motherfuckers are being extra heavy-handed with stuff, even with the Tulsi Gabbard stuff. So you have to be prepared for that. And I don't give a damn. And let me tell you something. I don't give a damn about what people that are on some never Trump shit deal with Kamala. I don't give a fuck. Y'all are lying. There's things you all know that you all are lying about. I said that. And y'all could kiss my ass thinking y'all are so righteous, because my thing is, if you're so righteous, then you're going to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth. And I wouldn't have to have like 21 questions in order to extract the truth from you. And that's for anybody that wants to receive that. So people that like to say, oh, you're in the manosphere, you're part of the problem because you're not listening to us. I mean, yo, I'm gonna tell you, like I told a lot of people that don't like me, I'll fucking share your videos. You know, it ain't like, okay, if I disappear, people gonna all of a sudden be listening to you. And that's for anybody. Just like how I get the views I get, and there's people that get way more views than me. So, yeah.
And I was told if I got 63, which was what I got in 2016, you can't be beaten. The election, people should never be thinking about an election as fraudulent. We need two things. We need walls, and we have to have it. We have to have borders, and we have to have good elections. Our elections are bad. And a lot of these illegal immigrants coming in, they're trying to get them to vote. They can't even speak English. They don't even know what country they're in practically.
And here's the thing that's crazy. The thing that's crazy is the fact that the way the Democrats handle the way this situation, they'll talk all this shit like Trump. Like, it's crazy because you haven't had like somebody go with somebody this hard as far as the judicial system. All this stuff has happened, yet we're trying to front like everything is just hunky-dory. And they try to say, ignore who we're doing it to. This is a white man. If they can do this to him, they can do this to anybody. That's the thing that a lot of y'all should be worried about. Like, you see what happened with Tulsi Gabbard. And just because they put a black face or whatever face in front of it, remember, a lot of shit was able to go down with Obama because Obama was in there. So it's like, well, we can't be racist because he's black, you know? So, yeah.
And these people are trying to get them to vote. And that's why they're allowing them to come into our country.
I did watch all of these pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm, lost by a whisker. We didn't quite make it. And we should just point out here as clarification, and you know this, you and your allies, 60 cases in front of many judges, many of them
No judge looked at it. They said we didn't have standing. That's the other thing. They said we didn't have standing, a technicality. Can you imagine a system?
The thing about it is, that kind of is annoying me though, is you're not really grilling her like him. You're being real soft when it's like, the Biden, like, ain't nobody mentioning Biden's son, ain't nobody mentioning like all of that. Like, it's a lot of stuff you're not mentioning. You could be mentioning because she's in the insiders in the White House. And so, yeah, it is. Trump supporters going to say this was biased as fuck. Kamala supporters going to say, well, she survived and she looked, so she won. Did she actually look presidential? No, she looked like she was trying to pretend to be. But that's not what's needed. The question is, it's not about let's be real. This has nothing to do with Kamala is qualified to be president. That's not the question. This is why BGS always run into it with people. The question is, are you on the never Trump side or are you not? Because if you're on the never Trump side, Kamala's perfectly fine. That's what it is. And at the end of the day, because I'm on the I don't give a fuck. I really don't. I've had enough of these elections now. You know, I've seen how this stuff goes. I mean, obviously, a lot of y'all my age. You know, I voted in 2004. You know, in the Bush-Kerry election. So Bush-Kerry, Obama 1, Obama 2. You know, Trump won. You know, so I've seen, and I paid attention to this stuff deep enough that I kind of know. I mean, notice how nobody's even talking about Congress. We're acting like we're voting for a king, as if how Congress looks is not going to matter. And a lot of the stuff that the Biden presidency is doing is executive order type shit, international type shit, you know? So anyway.
Where a person in an election doesn't have standing, the president of the United States doesn't have standing. That's how we lost. If you look at the facts, and I'd love to have you'll do a special on it. I'll show you Georgia, and I'll show you Wisconsin, and I'll show you Pennsylvania, and I'll show you, we have so many facts and statistics. But you know what? That doesn't matter because we have to solve the problem that we have right now. That's old news. And the problem that we have right now is
no. I mean, yeah, she did dance around her questions, but that doesn't matter. Like this, because truth be told, let's stop acting like Trump like answers every question asked. He doesn't. So like the whole Kamala to a stronger standard than that is not a fair thing. The question is, how does she look in the sound bites with the questions? Because you got to think about it. When she's giving us, when she's saying something and they're replaying it, they're not going to replay the question. They're going to replay the response. And so when you just pay attention to that, what it sounds like is Trump is constantly on the defensive and Kamala is giving an Obama impersonation. And yeah, the moderators are being biased because there is certain stuff that is like, okay, these things have been litigated. Like, this is Trump's second debate. These things have been asked. So it's like every time he debates, the shit has like, and I promise you, they will ask JD Vance this stuff. Well, you thought this with Secretary said, you thought that something, you thought that, like
we have a
like they're gonna make it about that. And that's cool because understand that like if she gets in there Everybody's gonna be happy, acting like, oh, we won, we defeated Trump. And then when the real stuff happens and ain't nobody's home, what they gonna do? Who they gonna lash out at? They not gonna lash out at her because they voted for her. Who they gonna lash out at? And all that pent up energy,
A nation in decline, and they have put it into decline. We have a nation that is dying, David.
Mr. President, thank you. Vice President Harris, you heard the president there tonight. He said he didn't.
I mean, I get that, but the problem with what Trump is saying is Trump is not. He's not really. He's not articulate. This is like hyper Republican rhetoric. It's dying. Is this? Is this? This is not gonna work. You need to get specific, and you need to get specific as far as what they've done. And so all this dying, all this stuff, it just seems like he's on the back foot. And you're not going to tell me no different.
Didn't say that they lost by whisker. So he still believes he did not lose the election that was won by President Biden and yourself. But I do want to ask you about something that's come up in the last.
I mean, shit, fucking Al Gore doesn't think he lost the election. I mean, it's not the first time we've had a contested election before. So, I mean, you know, we keep on saying that it's like I said, I'm paying attention. They did ask the question about you flip flop on this, flip flop on that, and notice how she was able to give a story, and they didn't do these little follow ups, even though these are like anyway.
Last couple of days, this was a post from President Trump about this upcoming election just weeks away. He said, "When I win, those people who cheated," and then he lists donors, voters, election.
No, it won't be 50 million. Actually, BGS said that they're trying to bring in 50 million like the next 10 years. I think that's like the goal. He said 2050. Which I don't know why, because by then they would have kids.
He says will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentences. One of your campaign's top lawyers responded saying, "We won't let Donald Trump intimidate us. We won't let him suppress the vote." Is that what you believe he's trying to do here?
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that. But we cannot afford to have a president of the United States who attempts, as he did in the past, to upend the will of the voters in a free and fair election. And I'm going to tell you that I have traveled the world as vice president of the United States. And
I find that rich what the fuck she's saying coming from somebody that has not been like, are you fucking serious? Like at the presidential level, ain't nobody voted for your ass. Yet you're here. That's crazy that you would say that. And even in like the election in California, she had the machine behind her. In fact, I remember when that Hispanic chick got real mad that Obama sided with Kamala. Like for real. So, that's crazy she would say that. But
and
again, it's you got to understand what this is for. This is for the sound bites. This is for her establishing a certain presence. She can't really miss, but the bar is not huge. But if she reaches it, she's got it.
Leaders are laughing at Donald Trump. I have talked with military leaders, some of whom worked with you, and they say you're a disgrace. And when you then talk in this way,
notice, and the more she gets comfortable, the more she's saying like the more hyperbolic shit, and it's her not thinking he's gonna actually lash out. And that's what that is. You're a disgrace. Like she wouldn't have said that up front. And the reality is, you think these motherfuckers take you seriously? You like, are you fucking serious? Remember, all these. You're not going to tell me a lot more people didn't know that Biden was nobody home.
Presidential debate and deny what over and over again are court cases you have lost because you did in fact lose that election. It leads one to believe that perhaps we do not have in the candidate to my right the temper.
Well, I mean, this is beyond the black community. Black men, and unfortunately, black men won't lay flat. Black men can't lay flat. If black men lay flat, black men are going to be homeless. So, the black men are only 6% of the population. You don't matter to that level. I mean, that's just straight like that. I mean, you lay flat, they're going to give an immigrant your job and pay them less. So now the question is, are you all going to sit here and try to save the black community, aka save the matriarchy? Well, that's up to you all. But this is not about like this. Me doing this has nothing to do with the black community. They haven't mentioned anything about blackness. Notice that. Do you think that's not on purpose? You think that's not on purpose? They mentioned all this. Remember, everything they asked in place of something else that they could have asked. But ultimately, so it's like, well, shoot, when black men go lay flat. I mean, you can do that. I hope you got the economics to do that.
Or the ability to not be confused about fact. That's deeply troubling.
Well, I mean, I don't know, but I'm not gonna say, I'm not gonna say it's impossible for her to win. We'll have to see. But I'm setting the stage. It's not that, oh man, she wins. No, I'm saying let's go there. Let's break this candle. Let's light this candle and see what happens. Because the way everybody's selling it, it's gonna be morning in America, and we know that's bullshit. Because has it been in the last 4 years? So pretty much y'all are voting for the same shit, and there's a lot of things that's about to blow up. And when it does, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. But at the end of the day, even if Trump wins, a lot of this stuff is not necessarily gonna be solved. I can tell you this though. The black vote is gonna be very much nullified by 2028. It will be, because they will have these people in here, citizenships, business, all this bullshit. And a lot of black women in particular gonna be out here looking fucking stupid. Because I promise you, they're gonna take it from your money.
The American people deserve better.
I'll give you 1 minute to respond, Mr. President.
Let me just say about world leaders. Viktor Orban, one of the most respected men. They call him a strong man. He's a tough person, smart. Prime Minister of Hungary. They said, why is the whole world blowing up? 3 years ago, it wasn't. Why is it blowing up? He said, because you need Trump back as president. They were afraid of him. China was afraid. And
Well, I mean, the lay flat stuff. I mean, you gotta understand what that actually means. Like lay flat is kind of like going on strike. And the American economy doesn't require black men to run stuff. This thing can run without you. So laying flat doesn't work in that context. As far as doing anything for black men, well, I mean, black men, be like BGS has told you, like I've told you, you need to look at what they're gonna do for men, and then what black men can benefit from that standpoint. That's the policy, and they will have to do stuff for men. Because stuff is sliding away. It's sliding. Now, if women want to act like, they're president because she's president, well, they're going to get a rude fucking awakening.
I don't like to use the word afraid, but I'm just quoting him. China was afraid of him. North Korea was afraid of him. Look at what's going on with North Korea, by the way. He said Russia was afraid of him. I ended the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, and Biden put it back on day one, but he ended the XL pipeline.
No, they asked the questions they wanted to ask. They asked the questions to color the narrative. They wanted to put Trump on the back foot or lock Trump down in certain things. They wanted the softball, Kamala, and they did that. And they did that. And at the end of the day, that's why she's smiling like she think, she skated. Because my thing is, this is what I'm gonna be like. Okay, you got all these stories, then why are you ducking interviews? You're ducking interviews, but you could talk to Trump. So if you can deal with Trump, you can deal with these interviews. But see, the problem is she can't just tell a story when you can't piggyback off him. You can't just tell a story.
XL pipeline in our country, he ended that, but he let the Russians build a pipeline going all over Europe and heading into Germany, the biggest pipeline in the world. Look, Viktor Orban said it. He said the most respected, most feared person is Donald Trump. We had no problems when Trump was president. But when this weak, pathetic man that you saw at a debate just a few months ago, that if he weren't in that debate, he'd be running instead of her. She got no votes. He got 14 million votes. What you did, you talk about a threat to democracy. He got 14 million votes and they threw him out of office. And you know what? I'll give you a little secret. He hates her. He can't stand her. But he got 14 million votes. They threw him out. She got 0 votes. And when she ran, she was the first one to leave because she failed. And now she's running. I don't understand it, but I'm okay with it because I think we're going to do very well.
We've got a lot more to get to.
Turning now to the Israel-Hamas war and the hostages who are still being held, Americans among them. Vice President Harris, in December, you said, quote, Israel has a right to defend itself, but you added, quote, it matters how, saying international humanitarian law must be respected. Israel must do more to protect innocent civilians. You said that 9 months ago.
Well, I mean, she don't got to add. I mean, let's keep it real. It's not like Donald Trump is the master of answering questions. That's not like, I'm not saying I wanted her to get answers, but that's not what people that's trying to vote for her, look for an excuse to vote for Trump. They're not looking at her. They don't care. That's what y'all got to understand. So when y'all say she dodged questions, that's not going to register to anybody that is going to vote for her and don't like Trump. They'll tell you to your face, no, you're not. And, she has a story for a question, and she was coached well.
Now an estimated 40,000 Palestinians are dead. Nearly 100 hostages remain. Just last week, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said there's not a deal in the making. President Biden has not been able to break through the stalemate. How would you do it?
Well, let's understand how we got here. On October 7, Hamas, a terrorist organization, slaughtered 1,200 Israelis, many of them young people who were simply attending a concert. Women were horribly raped. And so absolutely, I said then, I say now, Israel.
So of course she's going to sell the soap because she has to, because you got all these, and it's funny, and I don't know, like these Arabs, like the only place they can really affect the election is in Michigan. and understand that if you cost them the election and they see that that's an issue, trust and believe y'all gonna understand what time it really is. Y'all really are. The Democrats will dial this shit all the way back to 2001, 2003, for real.
Has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters, because it is also true far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed, children, mothers. What we know is that this war must end. It must end immediately, and the way it will end is we need a ceasefire deal and we need the hostages out. And so we will continue to work around the clock on that.
Well, I mean, y'all can talk that crap, but Hamas has no incentive to give up those hostages. I mean, my question is, are you willing to get rid of Bibi, which is Benjamin Netanyahu? Because truth be told, as long as Bibi's there, that's a guarantee that they're going to get wiped out as soon as those hostages get up there. They have no incentive to do that. And quite frankly, America may be standing by Bibi, but the reality is the world is shifting because a lot of people are getting tired of Israel, and this is kind of an excuse for them to shift on that. And so you can do what you want to do with America, but
work around the clock, also understanding that we
and to me, yeah,
must chart a course for a two-state solution. And in that solution,
better Democrats than you have tried that. Come on, see, this is her trying to have it both ways right here. This is her trying to have it both ways, but that's fine. I'm sure that they had to let her, seem like, she's somewhat. They're not going for a two-state solution because they're not going to do it.
There must be security for the Israeli people and Israel, and an equal measure for the Palestinians. But the one thing I will assure you always,
this is the my thing is this is crazy because America hasn't talked about a two-state solution in a long time, so they're not doing that. They're not doing that. I don't the only way Israel would do a two-state solution is you will have to make them do it. And you all are not going to do that. You all don't have the steel to do that. You will have to force them to do it. And I mean, y'all not willing even to turn down their money. So I don't even know why we even playing. You lying in my face. They're not doing that. So
will always give Israel the ability to defend itself, in particular as it relates to Iran and any threat that Iran and its proxies pose to Israel. But we must have a two-state solution where we can rebuild Gaza, where the Palestinians have security, self-determination, and the dignity they so rightly deserve.
President Trump, how would you negotiate with Netanyahu and also Hamas in order to get the hostages out and prevent the killing of more innocent civilians in Gaza?
If I were president, it would have never started. If I were president, Russia would have never, ever. I know Putin very well. He would have never. There was no threat of it either, by the way, for 4 years.
Yeah, there are wastes of time. These are questions that probably was paid for by AIPAC. Probably they wanted them to get them both on the record on it. That's all that is.
Have gone into Ukraine and killed millions of people when you add it up, and far worse than people understand what's going on over there. But when she mentions about Israel, all of a sudden, she hates Israel. She wouldn't even meet with Netanyahu when he went to Congress to make a very important speech. She refused to be there because she was at a sorority party of hers. She wanted to go to the sorority party.
I mean, at the end of the day, none of that, to people that matter, none of that matters because the only political thing with that is the Arabs. And I don't know. My thing is this. I don't understand why you think Trump is going. If you're Arabic, I have no idea why you think Trump's going to be better now, Kamala. That it really has nothing to do with the parties. You're done. You just need to advocate what you advocate no matter who gets in there. This thing where y'all think y'all going to jam up Kamala like Trump is going to go up against Israel, that's not happening.
She hates Israel. If she's president, I believe that Israel will not exist within 2 years from now. And
oh, come on. That's not going to be true. Because that's beyond her. Come on now.
I'm pretty good at predictions, and I hope I'm wrong about that one. She hates Israel. At the same time, in her own way, she hates the Arab population because the whole place is going to get blown up. Arabs, Jewish people, Israel will be gone. It would have never happened. Iran was broke under Donald Trump. Now Iran has $300 billion because they took off all the sanctions that I had. Iran had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah or any of the 28 different spheres of terror. And they are spheres of terror, horrible terror. They had no money. It was a big story, and you know it. You covered it very well, actually. They had no money for terror. They were broke. Now they're a rich nation. And now what they're doing is they're spreading that money around. Look at what's happening with the Houthis and Yemen. Look at what's going on in the Middle East. This would have never happened. I would get that settled and fast.
Like I said, Trump looks like he's on the back foot. And the reality is the stuff, why she's there, this stuff is beyond her. So no, that's not happening. If they really believe that, then Kamala would have never got that far.
And I'll get the war with Ukraine and Russia ended. If I'm president-elect, I'll get it done before even becoming president.
Vice President Harris, he says you hate Israel.
That's absolutely not true. I have my entire career and life supported Israel and the Israeli people. He knows that.
I mean, just the glazing. I support Israel. Oh my God, I just can't imagine a world without. It's just crazy. It's like, you know what's funny? What's funny with a so-called black politician? These like, you don't even hear black politicians talk about black people this way. Like, seriously. Like, it's kind of amazing to me. Like, you will never have heard a black politician talk. Like, it's the level of glazing. You know, it's like, well, it's like, yo, let's start here. Do you believe that you're better than other people? Because y'all motherfuckers damn sure, like, the way people talk about you, it's like this like unique situation that doesn't apply to anybody else's situation. You know, it's just amazing that way.
He's trying to, again, divide and distract from the reality, which is, it is very well known that Donald Trump is weak and wrong on national security and foreign policy. It is well known that he...
Oh my God. Like, you definitely are not strong in that. Like, you keep talking about well known, like, again, but all she's got to do is bash Trump. She doesn't have to be accurate with her bashing. She just got to bash Trump.
Myers dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one, according to himself. It is well known that he said of Putin that he can do whatever the hell he wants and go into Ukraine. It is well known that he said when Russia went into Ukraine, it was brilliant. It is well known he exchanged love letters with Kim Jong-un. And it is absolutely well known that these dictators and autocrats are rooting for you to be president again because they're so clear. They can manipulate you.
The thing, yeah, that's why Putin said, anyway, you know, the thing is, I personally think they know a backlash is going to come eventually, where that pendulum is going to swing a little bit, and they're just doing everything they can to hold it. That's why a lot of stuff is being more obvious than it normally is, you know, with stuff, because they're fighting against that. But a lot of people, I mean, look at what they've done to students and stuff like that, you know, and I get it. But yeah,
with flattery,
because it's funny, because on the one hand, they'll say, well, Israelis are not safe, but y'all let a lot of immigrants into these students. So it's kind of like,
and favors. And that is why so many military leaders who you have worked with have told me you are a disgrace. That is why we understand.
She keeps saying that, but the reality, yeah,
that we have to have a president who is not consistently weak and wrong on national security, including the importance of upholding and respecting in highest regard our military.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
They're the ones, and she's the one that caused it. That's weak on national security by allowing every nation last month for the year, 168 different countries sending people into our country. Their crime rates are way down. Putin endorsed her last week, said, I hope she wins. And I think he meant it, because what he's gotten away with is absolutely incredible. It wouldn't have happened with me. The leaders of other countries think that they're weak and incompetent, and they are. They're grossly incompetent. And I just ask one question. Why does Biden go in and kill the Keystone Pipeline and approve the single biggest deal that Russia's ever made, Nord Stream 2, the biggest pipeline anywhere in the world, going to Germany and all over Europe? Because they're weak and they're ineffective. And Biden, by the way, gets paid a lot.
See, the problem, all these little, they're weak, they're this, they're that. This is like name calling. This doesn't mean shit. And that's the fucking problem. It really doesn't mean shit. And, you know, it's the problem is on both sides with both parties. Like, it's like, can you honestly ask me where the fuck the Republicans are doing right now? You know, can you honestly tell me what the fuck are the Democrats as a party is doing right now? It's crazy.
Thank you. We have a lot of issues to get to.
We'll be right back with much more of this historic ABC News
They keep
presidential debate from the National Constitution Center right here in Philadelphia. Back in a moment. Interest to do so, arguing that if Putin wins, he may be emboldened to move even further into other countries. You have said you would solve this war in 24 hours. You said so just before the break tonight. How exactly would you do that? And I want to ask you a very simple question tonight. Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I want the war to stop. I want to save lives that are being uselessly, people being killed by the millions. It's the millions. It's so much worse than the numbers that you're getting, which are fake numbers. Look, we're in for 250 billion or more because they don't ask Europe, which is a much bigger beneficiary to getting this thing done than we are. They're in for $150 billion less because Biden and you don't have the courage to ask Europe like I did with NATO. They paid billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars when I said, either you pay up or we're not going to protect you anymore. So that's maybe one of the reasons they don't like me as much as they like weak people. But you take a look at what's happening. We're in for 250 to 275 billion. They're into 100 to 150. They should be forced to equalize. With that being said, I want to get the war settled. I know Zelensky very well, and I know Putin very well. I have a good relationship, and they respect your president. Okay, they respect me. They don't respect Biden. How would you respect him? Why? For what reason?
Well, what they don't tell you is that Zelensky they could have ended the war earlier, but the West wants it to continue. See, that's what they're not gonna say. That's what they're not gonna say, and that's what the media is not gonna ask Kamala because she doesn't know.
Hasn't even made
Let's be very clear here. If you vote for Kamala, here's the thing: if you vote for Kamala, what you're voting for, you don't. What you're voting for is somebody whoever is telling her what to do. She's going. I don't know who that is. I'm not even going to speculate. She's going to do what she's told on the things that matter. If you vote for Trump, you kind of know what you're going to get, for better or for worse.
a phone call in 2 years to Putin, hasn't spoken to anybody. They don't even try and get it. That is a war that's dying to be settled. I will get it settled before I even become president.
Yeah, when you keep saying, because the thing about it is when you say, well, you want Ukraine to win. Okay, what are you willing to do? What are you willing to do for Ukraine to win? What are you willing to do? And what does winning even mean? Because here's the crazy part. We're real invested. We shouldn't even care, like not to that extent. We should just want to deal with it. So it sounds like we're actually at war with Russia. So even framing a question that way, do you want the war? Do you want Russia to or the Ukraine? Russia's going to be there regardless. Here's the thing. When you define Ukraine, let's be very clear here. Let's define. Now, obviously I'm not in the military. Shout out to Charles. Let's define Ukraine. They have typically defined Ukraine winning is if Ukraine is able to capture their borders, previous to Russia invading, and then Crimea. That is them winning. Even you take Crimea off the board, they're winning. Okay, what does that really look like? Does that look like Putin is not going to be in office? Do you really think Putin is just not going to be in office? Do you really think that, what if a tactical nuke does get dropped down? Seriously, like, what does that look like? Are you willing to start World War III over Ukraine? Something that we weren't supposed to technically be involved with like that? Are you really not to be a Francis Ferdinand? Like, the question really is, what are you willing to do for Ukraine to win? Because Russia will still exist. There will be no satellite countries that's going to break off of Russia. The BRICS are already doing what they're doing. What are you looking for? What are you looking for? If let's say Russia does become more friendly to Europe, well, guess what? That makes it so the United States is less needed. Like, what is that? You notice how it's just, do you want Ukraine to win? Well, what cost are you willing to pay? So what cost are you willing to pay for them to win? Because nobody's talking about that. Because nobody's being honest about why that's actually being dealt with and why that's being prolonged so long. And so when he says he'll settle it, yeah, it needs to be settled, but people don't want it settled because they have other stuff they're doing that they're not talking about.
President, if I win, when I'm president-elect, and what I'll do is I'll speak to one, I'll speak to the other, I'll get them together. That war would have never happened. And in fact,
the thing is, ultimately, they were going to close a deal. It wasn't a good deal. Probably what's going to happen is Ukraine is going to have to give up territory. And the territory that they've already lost. That's probably and Russia's going to keep Crimea. That's what that means. And we can talk about emboldening to go after other stuff. Well, Putin sees what NATO is doing, and at the end of the day, Russia's not going to be allowed to just scoop up other countries. They're not going to be allowed to just keep going and going and going. Now, if you want to make the argument about China going after Taiwan, well, Trump has a better eye for China.
After I left, unfortunately left because our country has gone to hell. But after I left, when I saw him building up soldiers, he did it after I left. I said, oh, he must be negotiating. It must be a good, strong point of negotiation. Well, it wasn't, because Biden had no idea how to talk to him. He had no idea how to stop it. And now you have millions of people dead, and it's only getting worse, and it could lead to World War III from being destroyed.
I want to take this to Vice President Harris. I want to get your thoughts on support for Ukraine in this moment, but also as Commander-in-Chief, if elected, how would you deal with Vladimir Putin, and would it be any different from what we're seeing from President Biden?
Well, first of all, it's important to remind the former president, you're not running against Joe Biden, you're running against me. I believe the reason that Donald Trump says that this war would be over within 24 hours is because he would just give it up. And that's not who we are as Americans. Let's understand what happened here. I actually met with Zelensky a few days before Russia.
The fucker, you've never even established why we are not in this war. What are you talking about? Give it up. Ukraine ain't Israel. So I get y'all want to play that game with Israel. What are you talking about? Like, what are you talking? The average person doesn't fucking know why We're not there. What are you talking? We're not giving up shit. This isn't the war in Iraq or Afghanistan. The fuck are you talking about?
Russia invaded, tried through force to change territorial boundaries, to defy one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I met with President Zelensky. I shared
Let
with
me tell you something. The never Trump folks are perfectly fine with a Biden sequel. They rather roll the dice. And I mean, I'm not even saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying it. JD Vance,
him American intelligence about how he could defend himself. Days later, I went to NATO's eastern flank, to Poland and Romania. And through the work that I and others did, we brought 50 countries together to support Ukraine in its righteous defense. And because of our support, because of the air defense, the ammunition, the artillery, the javelins, the Abrams tanks that we have.
The reality of the situation is it doesn't matter what America or other countries do. Unless you are willing to put boots on the ground, they will eventually lose. The question is, how much money are you willing to pay? That willing to pay. Like, that's really what, if you think Putin is all of a sudden just going to die or he's just going to get removed. Like, I don't know what you, the war, BGS is right. And I agree. The war was never supposed to last this long. And so Kamala's going to do what she's told. That's why she's there.
Provided Ukraine stands as an independent and free country. If Donald Trump were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now. And understand what that would mean, because Putin's agenda is not just about Ukraine. Understand why the European allies and our NATO allies are so thankful that you are no longer president, and that we understand the importance of the greatest military alliance the world has ever known, which is NATO, and what we have done to preserve the ability of Zelensky and the Ukrainians to fight for their independence. Yeah. Otherwise, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv.
The damage is already done. So what's going to happen? So I got a question. Are we going to pay for rebuilding Ukraine? Because I'm gonna tell you, the Russians are not gonna do it. The Russians are not gonna do it. That breaks it. See, that's what they're not talking about.
Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch?
Vice President Harris, thank you. We've heard from both of you on Ukraine tonight. Afghanistan came up in the last hour. I wanted her to respond to something you said earlier, and I'll give you a minute here.
Putin would be sitting in Moscow, and he wouldn't have lost 300,000 men and women, but he would have been sitting in Moscow. Quiet, please. He would have been sitting in Moscow, much happier than he is right now. But eventually, you know, he's got a thing that other people don't have. He's got nuclear weapons. They don't ever talk about that. He's got nuclear weapons. Nobody ever thinks about that. And eventually, maybe he'll use them, and maybe he hasn't been that threatening, but he does have that. Something we don't even like to talk about. Nobody likes to talk about it. But just so you understand, they sent her to negotiate peace before this war started. 3 days later, he went in and he started the war.
Yeah, and they'll sell it as a humanitarian Christ thing. Like, pay for it. So no fucking wonder Dick Cheney. People forget Dick Cheney owns a construction. No wonder fucking Dick Cheney endorsed it. Like, it's crazy.
The war, because everything they said was weak and stupid.
I'm not even saying I'm taking what Trump's saying everything at face value, but the reality of the situation is, I'm gonna keep it real with you. You're closer to getting drafted with Kamala in there. You are way closer to get drafted than you are with Trump, in my opinion.
He said the wrong things. That war should have never started. She was the emissary. They sent her in to negotiate with Zelensky and Putin, and she did. And the war started 3 days later. And that's the kind of talent we have with her. She's worse than Biden. In my opinion, I think he's the worst president in the history of our country. She goes down as the worst vice president in the history of our country.
See, the problem is all this kind of extreme stuff, you start to not take a lot of that seriously. So it's like it gets lost.
Country. But let me tell you something. She is a horrible negotiator. They sent her in to negotiate. As soon as they left, Putin did the invasion.
President Trump, thank you. You did bring up something. You said she went to negotiate with Vladimir Putin. Vice President Harris, have you ever met Vladimir Putin? Can you clarify tonight?
Yet again, I said at the beginning of this debate, you're going to hear a bunch of lies coming from this fellow. And that is another one. When I went to meet with President Zelensky, I've now met with him over 5 times. The reality is it has been about standing as America always should, as a leader.
It is not our job to protect every nation. That is not our job. And we don't have the fucking money to be doing that now. That is a cost. It's not our fucking job. If it's that important, then you need to renegotiate the money you're giving to Israel. Oh, we're not going to do that? Okay, then. The reality is those like I understand the history of like the CIA working with Zelensky, Ukraine wanting to be independent, and how that's I know a little bit more than I'm actually letting know about that. But the reality is, man, Americans got their hats in too much shit right now. They really do.
Upholding international rules and norms, as a leader who shows strength, understanding that the alliances we have around the world are dependent on our ability to look out for our friends and not favor our enemies, because
But Ukraine is not an ally like that. Like, that's the thing. That is not why we're there. That's bullshit. Like, that's bullshit. Ukraine is not NATO. Ukraine is not Japan. Ukraine is not Taiwan. Ukraine is not Taiwan. That is not the same thing. And you all have never made a real case. The Ukraine war is just some shit that happened. And then everybody just went along with it. After we got out of Afghanistan, now we're not going to put troops on the ground. We're spending money. Because I promise you, if we put troops on the ground, that's going to be a fucking problem.
you adore strongmen instead of caring about democracy. And that is very much what is at stake here. The president of the United States is commander-in-chief, and the American people.
This coming from the bitch that literally got here without being voted for. I love that shit.
Have a right to rely on a president who understands the significance of America's role and responsibility in terms of ensuring that there is stability and ensuring we stand up for our principles and not sell them.
Yeah, I understand. I understand that, but I understand that. But the reality is, like, Ukraine used to be a part of the Soviet bloc, and the thing is, we're not at war till we are. And then, so
for the benefit of personal flattery.
We talked about Ukraine and Vladimir Putin. I do want to talk about Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of this debate. I want to move on to Afghanistan.
Stoltenberg said Trump did the most amazing thing I've ever seen. He got these countries, the 28 countries at the time, to pay up. He said, I've never seen.
And this gets back to the point of how he has consistently disparaged and demeaned members of our military, fallen soldiers, and the work that we must do to uphold the strength and the respect of the United States of America around the world.
I mean, all this shit, like, this is like straight. And here's the thing. The difference with Obama is Obama did get in the details. All this kind of touchy-feely bullshit, like, this is what I'm saying. Like, at the end of the day, once the election happens and y'all get past that 90 days, she's inaugurated, another 90 days, and then folks expecting shit to happen, y'all looking at what's going on, and ain't nobody home. Remember,
world.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, your response to her saying that you began the negotiations with the Taliban.
So if you take a look at that period of time, the Taliban was killing our soldiers, a lot of them, with snipers. And I got involved with the Taliban because the Taliban was doing the killing. That's the fighting force within Afghanistan. They don't bother doing that because, they deal with the wrong people all the time. But I got involved. And Abdul is the head of the Taliban. He is still there.
When I say it just happened, I mean, we can go into that stuff. I'm talking about the way it's being presented. The way it's being presented by the American people. If you ask America why we're there, why we're doing anything, they'll try to frame it like a humanitarian crisis. I mean, look at Sudan. There's a lot of shit we could be at.
The head of the Taliban. And I told Abdul, don't do it anymore. You do it anymore, you're going to have problems. And he said, why do you send me a picture of my house? I said, you're going to have to figure that out, Abdul. And for 18 months, we had nobody killed. We did have an agreement negotiated by Mike Pompeo. It was a very good agreement. The reason it was good, we were getting out. We would have been out faster than them, but we wouldn't have lost the soldiers. And that's going to cost our people, our population, less money and be better healthcare than Obamacare. Then I would absolutely do it. But until then, I'd run it as good as it can be run.
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan?
I have concepts of a plan. I'm not president right now, but
The time when I will never forget the early morning hours when it was up for a vote in the United States Senate, and the late great John McCain, who you have disparaged as being you don't
get the fuck out of here. George W. Bush went after John McCain too. Trump is not the only one to do that. There's a lot of Republicans that went at John McCain.
Like him, you said at the time, because he got caught. He was an American hero. The late great John McCain. I will never forget that night. Walked out.
pay him $3.5 million. This is a crooked administration, and they're selling our country down the tubes.
President Trump, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with closing statements from both of our candidates. An historic night, this ABC News presidential debate from Philadelphia. Back in a moment.
And focus on what we can do over the next 10 and 20 years to build back up our country by investing right now in you, the American.
Build back up. Get the fuck out of here, man. We'll build back up our country 10 to 20 years, man. Motherfuckers do not want to hear that shit. Because it is.
American people.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump?
So she just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs, and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it? She should leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it, and you won't do it because you believe in things that the American people don't believe in. You believe in things like we're not going to frack, we're not going to take fossil fuel, we're not going to do things that are going to make this country strong, whether you like it or not. Germany tried that, and within 1 year, they were back to building normal energy.
I mean, I like John McCain when he was running in the Republican primaries in 2001. You know, obviously a situation with Obama, that's a historical thing. And, you know, Obama gets critiqued, you know, but Obama did do some stuff, you know, but yeah.
Plants. We're not ready for it. We can't sacrifice our country for the sake of bad vision. But I just ask one simple question. Why didn't she do it? We're a failing nation. We're a nation that's in serious decline. We're being laughed at all over the world. All over the world, they laugh. I know the leaders very well. They're coming to see.
I mean, they're laughing at us because of everything. It ain't just like
me. They call me. We're laughed at all over the world. They don't understand what happened to us as a nation. We're not a leader. We don't have any idea what's going on. We have wars going on in the Middle East. We have wars going on with Russia and Ukraine. We're going to end up in a third world war, and it'll be a war like no other because of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. I rebuilt our entire military. She gave a lot of it away to the Taliban. She gave it to Afghanistan. What?
Okay. So this is what we're gonna do. I'm not. This is not gonna be long at all. This may be like 30 minutes. I'm gonna drop the link, and I want to see what some of y'all got to say before I wrap this up. And then I'm gonna give y'all a little bit of time to come up here. I'm probably gonna go up there to Arch for a hot second. Appreciate all the new Patreons too. I saw a couple of people come through there. Y'all got a countdown. I mean, the merchant death, it is what it is. What y'all talking about? It's not for Trump simps, but what we're not. Here's the thing: what's not gonna happen? Like, it's really for the people that fuck with me. So if you go come in here, you can be for Kamala, but if you're gonna be on some bitch shit, I already told you. I already told you. So really, it's really for people that's been rocking with me. So if y'all gonna come in here on some asshole shit, you know, y'all can you know, I'll be on another panel for that. But that ain't what that's gonna be, because really I ain't trying to drop the link right now. I covered the shit. I was fair with the shit. So if you're already coming in here on some Trump simp shit, because let me be very clear here. You want to talk about a debate? If you're out here, if you're really trying to sell me the idea that Kamala Harris is qualified to be United States president, then go ahead. But all that little name calling shit, get the fuck out of here with that. Yeah, so motherfuckers always come in here with the dumb shit. Is this for Trump simps? Huh? Anyway, what's up, Pharaoh?
What's going on? What's going on? Hold on, let me turn on my Bluetooth.
Yeah, we fucking grown. We fucking grown, and I was fair. You know, even when people try to talk about, you know, yeah, Trump is, I was like, nah, this is how I see it. You know, so if y'all coming up in this bitch like y'all know how to act like y'all fucking grown, and y'all not gonna be in this bitch. Just understand that. I'm too old for that shit.
Man, all that cheerleading, but hey, I was going to see if he was going to talk about that cat and dog shit in Ohio. I was like, even though it is true, I really wish he would have never just said that, because I was like, no, I wanted him to hammer that Venezuelan situation so bad, because I'm like, that is a real fucking problem. Like, I'm in Oklahoma right now, and I just had to pass through Colorado, Denver, and police actually got part of the highway blocked because of that shit. So I'm like, this shit is, man. I'm like, if niggas don't address this shit,
My thing is, I mean, in the list of priorities, it's kind of like something like that because you got to remember Trump. So first of all, he shouldn't have brought that shit up. I don't give a damn if it's true. I don't give a damn if
right?
he had evidence because that is such a kind of fractal concept in the United States consciousness. Let's say it's true and he's got proof. Like then people are gonna and let people play. Number one, the media is not gonna cover that because the media is on board with the immigration agenda. Because number one, it drives views and all of that. And so even if it's true, because you got to think they've laughed off a lot of other shit. Apparently, people are making up the fact that anybody is a criminal. They're making it like all these people are being vetted. I mean, I
Hmm.
yeah, so as if it's funny. It's funny because we went through 2000, shit got blown up. So what's up, Virgil?
Yo, what's up? What's up?
Hey, I
What's
just
up?
because motherfuckers be playing. They'll be quiet for a minute, but no, I appreciate it. So yeah, we went through the 2001, the terrorist attacks that happened in the Trade Center the first time, and the second time when they came down. Then we went through all this bullshit. So apparently now we're in kind of the same spot. So if people come through the border and start blowing shit up again, I'm not saying Hispanics are going to do that. They're not. But if people use that as a vulnerability, now everybody's going. You see that pendulum swing. So
Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely.
and I hope that doesn't happen because then that's going to automatically spool us into a certain type of footing. But because if you notice, now a lot of neocons are now fucking in the Democratic Party, it seems like. So the same fuckers that basically wasted a lot of time and money are the same fuckers that seem to be doing a lot of stuff like that. Shout out to JD Aesthetic for the $5. Much appreciated, much appreciated. And so, as far as the debate, did Kamala do what she needed to do? Absolutely. Did Trump make it easy for her to do that? Absolutely. Did Trump, honestly, this was not a great debate. Trump was on a bat foot. Trump, it was like he was in court. And the Democrats definitely got what they needed out of this debate. And they're gonna run with it as hard as they can. And could Trump done better? Yeah, he could have done better. So and ultimately the VP doesn't debate really doesn't matter. People will watch it, but it really doesn't matter. And they're not are they gonna have another debate? Probably not. For both reasons. There's no reason for Kamala to expose herself again. And there's no reason for Trump to do it. So at this point it's just gonna be what it's gonna be.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it was Cam that boy was saying, is that true? Is that true? Yeah, I can believe it. I can believe it. It just depends, which is crazy because the money that their certain cities are giving folks, it's just crazy. But they'll try to act like none of this is happening, like Trump is just making all of this up. He's crazy. He's this. He's that. Is it? It's just retarded because the level of gaslighting. I just don't even really want to deal with it. But what are y'all thoughts on the election? Because I'm gonna go over there eventually to arts. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna head over there too. But I guess
Yeah.
from what I've been seeing, everybody think that she ate this shit up. I'm on the heels of she just didn't say anything to incriminate or drop the ball out, as I would say. She didn't do anything spectacular or said anything. I would just thought this. I'll give this a meh debate. That's pretty much where I have it.
Yeah, so the way I view debates is what do they need? Is this going to help their election, hurt their election? That's kind of how you tell.
Right.
That's an easy way to take the bias out of it. And certain people need to do certain things. You know, Trump needs to convince more people that are on the fence to vote for him. Did this do a good job in doing that? I don't think so. Kamala needs to make more people comfortable with her that already kind of don't want to vote for Trump, but they don't like what a lot of Democrats are doing. Did she hurt herself? No. And if she didn't hurt herself, in my opinion, she helped herself. Because with all these not doing interviews and stuff like that, if you can't shrivel up in Trump, that plays to the narrative that you're not doing interviews because you just are not for prime time. She at least showed that that's not the case for people that may be thinking that. But see, now another thing is people going to expect her to be talking to other people. They're going to be like, look, if you can stand by him for an hour and a half, you can fucking talk to folks. Because if you got these stories and stuff like that, why are you not? That's so, but for a while, that's gonna kill
Okay.
that shit for a while. And basically, people gonna be talking about that cat shit. They're gonna be playing these clips and making Trump look crazy, sound crazy, and all of that. Shout out to Kashif for the $10, much appreciated.
Hey,
And
folks
that's
are going
gonna
to be
be
in for a very rude awakening, man. You're going to be in for it for real. I know, man. People don't know their damn history.
Well,
Shit.
that I mean, I guess Trump he's had a history of just saying things like that, even if it's not true or not. So I guess they'll troll him and everything else. I
Yeah, of course
mean,
they're going to do that.
they gonna do that shit anyway. I mean, people were trolling
Man,
him, and this
look,
man damn near got his head blown off a month ago. So
dude,
I was like, I
dude,
mean,
I had my best friend calling me Donald Trump. And dude, I live all the way in South America, man. Look, I'm not a Trump fan and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? But people can't be this stupid, man. They can't be this stupid.
right.
The woman openly said that she ain't gonna do shit for black folks. And yet people gonna tell, look, I live with Asians, man. These Indian people, they're like 38% of the country, the Guyans, you know what I'm saying? Trust me, these people are gonna be real good. That shit gonna be real bad. And Edward said it right, man. They just gonna take that in silence. They're just gonna shut the fuck up and take.
well for the purpose. Here's my thing. I did talk a lot about when stuff gets elected, but the purpose of the debate is really, does it help a campaign? Does it hurt a campaign? So as far as the when people get, that's just gonna be what people gonna be. As far as addressing what you just said, you know, black people in particular are emotional. Now, I promise you, if a black man said that, it never, he would never be able to live that down. But a black woman saying that, they'll just bypass that. That's just what it is. And so people are not in the situation that they're not in for no reason.
Yeah,
I understand if we
that,
get helped to be in the situation we're in, but yeah,
that emotional shit.
yeah, like anybody saying like
That,
Brock, if you're saying Kamala got washed, then dude, that's
nah, she didn't get washed.
like I don't. Yeah,
She
that
held
is
her composure.
like
She didn't get washed.
I'm gonna keep it real. You'd be more likely to say Trump got washed, even though he didn't. And people can make an argument on the 3-on-1 and all that other stuff, but no, anybody saying she got washed, I get,
Black folks
you can have your opinion, but yeah, I believe in
I
her.
wouldn't say wash. Like I just said, it's just this. It was just average, and it was just men. At this point, it's just gonna come down to, like I said, just individual, mainly the independents. Like you said, the
Like
people
I
who's on the
say, yeah,
fence.
and like I
So,
say to like people, so y'all can actually y'all understand where I'm coming from. The easy question, so people, because people always come into these things in their feelings. I'm talking not y'all, but like in general. I always say,
mhm.
because Lord knows, I went to Twitter for 2 seconds while I was still at work, looking at this shit. I said,
That,
oh yeah, this shit is horrible, and that was even before anything really got started. I was like, this is, yeah, I'm not even, and I just typed in hashtag presidential debate. I went to latest.
feelings don't talk, brothers.
Yeah. Oh,
Feelings
but
don't.
the question is, did it help your campaign? Did it hurt your campaign? And you cannot tell me that how Kamala conducted herself hurt her campaign. And with Trump, you
She
can
held her
definitely make
composure
an
well.
argument that it did not help his campaign.
It's crazy, man. Shit's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm talking about from a perception of the thing. So it is what it is. Here's my thing. I'm like, this idea that if Trump gets in, everything's gonna be okay is not true either. The
No,
reality
it's
is
not.
there's a
That,
lot of
that's not.
problems. Like there's a lot of the problem is these parties are both trash. And what
Mhm.
you have is you have people that they're on this, well, we need to be in there because we're always righteous. Fuck everything else. And the idea that the Democratic Party is the party for the people, that's bullshit. They're basically for
Bullshit,
women and for rich
definitely
folks, particularly white women, basically immigrants, white women, and rich folks.
rich folks.
Immigrants, white,
Yep.
and then whatever other group like Israelis, then LGBT, that's in there too. Like,
Asians.
Transformers.
yeah. Well, the
Cybertronians.
Asians pretty much counted, are counted as immigrants. Pretty much, that's pretty much what they're for. So this idea that they're even for the middle class is bullshit. All the stuff she was saying, that's all cap.
Hell nah.
Basically, the mentality the Democrats are having is, we'll deal with that one once we get in there, which, i.e., they won't. Like all
They
that,
won't.
yeah. Like even when I hear opportunity, that doesn't sound like a job. That sounds like yeah, and Democrats are not known for. Come on now. But anyway, PK's on here. What's up, PK? What are your thoughts? Yeah, this is not going to be too long. You know, I just wanted to kind of give an opportunity since I went through this shit and people did donate. So, and as we talk about this, it is 9/11. It is September 11th.
Happy 9/11. Oh wait, no, I mean sad 9/11. Fuck. Is that how it's supposed to go? How do I celebrate this?
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
But
Anyway,
when people
them
say
buildings fell down. It was real sad. It was all bad.
when people say good
Yeah.
morning, they tell me good morning. No, it's not good morning. It's grand right. You don't shut the fuck up talking to me.
Shit, it's 1 o'clock over here.
You know, but anyway, you said it was all bad.
No, I was talking about the 9/11 thing, man. Listen,
Oh, okay.
I mean, I guess this doesn't really move the needle in any particular direction, in my opinion. This was not the showing that I actually would have expected from ex-President Trump. To be honest with you, I expected him to do much better than the way that he performed tonight. He's much more, at least in his previous uh, running, the last time he actually won the election, the way that he went at his opponents, his style was much different. I can tell that he's been coached, and now that he's been through his presidency, he has pulled back his punches quite a bit because there was a lot that he could have attacked her on that I could tell
Yeah,
that
you're right about that.
he was very tactful on, and he didn't actually attack her and hit her where it really would have hurt.
Yeah, and the problem, yeah, you're right about that. And the problem is she started to get more confidence as that did not happen. Like it's likely it's not going to happen. And the problem is that when you go with women, it's perceived differently, especially because of the woman vote. Even if they don't like women, a lot of times women will put themselves, I'm not saying men don't, but they'll put themselves um in
Yeah,
that
it's gonna,
situation, or at least this is what they're told. And so they have
yeah,
to deal with it in a very different way. And I think, he kind of directed that energy in a different way. And, for the most part, it did not work because it kind of seemed like it kind of came off as, I don't want to say desperate, but it just came like he's saying, "Oh man, you're fighting for this country. This country's going to be over." Da, 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 da. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that unfortunately he's been. I don't know if it's due to his coaching or exactly his own thinking behind it. However, what I will say is that his performance tonight, he was on the back foot. Period. He was on the back foot. Do I think that he outright lost this debate? No. Do I think that Kamala lost the debate? No. I think that for her though, this does actually count as a feather in her own cap, so to speak, in terms of her quote unquote viability, whether I like it or not, or anyone else likes it or not. Um, because her perception here, she didn't have any major losses on any of the particular talking points overall in the grand scheme of questioning and framing of the questions. So I don't think this is a win for anybody in terms of like politics itself, but even insofar as pushing the needle in terms of voter turnout, I don't think this pushes the needle in any particular direction either. So I just think that this ultimately was a waste of time for both candidates. They
I
didn't
mean,
they didn't move
yeah.
them.
At the end of the day, she needed this debate more than he needed the debate, especially with her not talking to nobody like that. Like that, she needed to be seen that she can stand on her own. And Trump is considered. This is like dealing with Darth Vader versus dealing with Boba Fett. And if you can stand up to Darth Vader and you survive, and not only survive, you look like you was digging in, especially the volatility of Trump, and especially the way he was going. because I sped the video up, but you still got the gist of it. I mean, that for the people that are kind of on the fence, but they really don't want Trump in there, this helps her campaign. Do I say this ultra hurts his campaign? No, but it doesn't really help Trump's campaign. But I can tell you, it helps her campaign. As far as
Yeah,
turning people out, I don't know. You could be right on that, because I'm not gonna go either way on turning more people out. I definitely can see where you're coming, but with her not doing interviews, this helps her campaign. People that kind of want to be on her side, like for instance, a Stephen A. Smith, or people like that. They kind of want to be on her side, but they don't like that ducking. Well, it definitely gives her more time to do interviews and stuff like that. So they have a clear path as far as where they can kind of expose her here or there. Are they going to have another debate? I highly doubt it, because it'd be no reason to expose her again. Trump has had 2 debates. People are going to forget that Trump had 2 debates. You know, and a lot of the stuff, the passion, I think the problem is people are not really used to seeing Trump talk passionate like that. And so it comes off as like, wow, okay. It comes off as that's because he's usually the cool customer and with the stuff he says. But at the end of the day, you got to go with women differently. And even with the, it's horrible. It's this, is this. I mean, or she's horrible. Nobody knows what she's actually done one way or the other. And so now I will say this: the moderators they asked like maybe 2 questions, are kind of like accountability questions. They didn't ask follow-ups. They just let her give her story versus Trump. They were doing a prosecute. They basically, the truth is, the shit that the people said Kamala was going to do to Trump, the moderators actually did to Trump, and they were slick about it. They both took turns, so it didn't seem like it was just the black chick going at her, going at him. The dude did it. It was funny how they did it. So you can.
Well, it's
You
not
know,
funny. This is actually something we've seen this before, believe it or not. This has happened before, actually, to him. So the fact that he decided, and this was a
I
CNN
mean,
debate, if
funny.
I'm not mistaken, right?
ABC debate, ABC.
Yeah, ABC. But I mean, this happened to him before with CNN. Once before, I believe in 2016, versus was it? I think it was Hillary. This has already happened once before with him. So it's not that this hasn't even happened before. He should have seen this coming.
Yeah,
Um, and this is why I think that honestly, he really should have, hit her with the finisher from Mortal Kombat. Because honestly, his perception in terms of the female voting bloc that he's trying to placate during this particular election cycle is already swayed on the issues in a particular direction. So he needed to actually attack where it hurt it, where it was going to hurt her most. He really needed to hit her. He needed to hit her with the low blows, and he didn't actually go for it.
yeah. She
Instead, he wanted to stay on message with immigration instead of anything else, which was just a failure, in my opinion. That's just
yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah. Because what I would have said straight up, I would say, yeah, there is no border crisis. You're basically letting people in. Let's stop calling it like y'all are failing at the border. You're letting them in. That's what he should have just put out there. They would have. If you're gonna sit here and talk about some cat, that's sound like some nigga shit, some alcohol shit. Talk about some cats and dogs at a Chinese play. You might as well have said that you all are strategically allowing people to come in and just put that out there. If you're gonna say that shit,
Yeah.
it's a lot of shit
I,
he could said. If you gonna go that far, then it's a lot of shit. You should have. If you gonna say that, you should have said you was locking up black women when their kids were knuckleheads that didn't go to school. You were
Oh, he could have ran the gambit on her. He could have hit her
yeah.
with. He could have hit her over the head with everything we've talked, just about everything we've talked about in the past. I'm not gonna say it, but you know. So
I'm
I mean, he could have ran the gambit, and he
Yo, remember,
didn't.
remember that song "Cat Dog"? But like "Cat Dog," you already know somebody's gonna do a meme with that. Cat Dog, cat. You know,
Oh, and somebody doing a video editing that shit
oh
right
yeah,
now for TikTok.
the meme folks are like, "I love you, Donald Trump. I love
hey
what never
man, hey,
ever again."
those Venezuelan migrants, man, I live 2 countries away from Venezuela, man. I'm telling you, man, those people, boy,
Man.
man, yeah, man, the people go
Us,
fuck you up,
us.
man.
On
Bruh.
another topic, it's just funny how people are so fucking mad. They're just so fucking mad. Megan Good is you know, paying.
Man,
I'm like, yo,
fuck
let
that
let
movie,
let
man.
let her bet on this man in peace, cause Lord knows, boy, that nigga go owe her for real. If he leave her, he may go hide him. That black woman built you up, and you left for making good, nigga. You need to be dead.
Bruh. Man, I saw that shit. I was an asshole.
I was like,
And
yeah, but he
the
gonna
only
owe her.
person I can think, R.I.P. David.
I
R.I.P.
said, y'all need to. I'm telling you, they need to do some. What remember them like suspense thrillers like Beyonce did for a hot second, a couple of them. They need to put her in there. You know, where I already told you. I said, Megan, this is what you do. This is what you do. You get and don't do Tyler Perry, but get a director like that, and then you get a movie about her. Maybe she cheating on a white man, and he's the dutiful husband and he's trying to figure it out, and you make it like I said, trust me, when you'll get that way, you can get you a check. You can get you a check, get you some
That
wins.
shit is
Yeah,
crazy.
don't you be dating a white bitch because you know you ain't gonna get the black. But anyway, you got that. You know, R.I.P. James Earl Jones. You got.
Man,
I mean, he lived to
that
93. I
man.
mean, he lived 30
Yeah,
years
Yeah,
longer.
yeah.
93. That's a good time,
That's a
He
full
man.
did it
life.
That's
wrong.
That's a full life.
He had a long,
and I'm
he had a
pretty sure
long,
he,
he had a
He
long
lived
ass
to
way.
93, fucking these white women.
man,
So he
bro. I'm
definitely.
and I'm pretty sure he don't
Ooh,
want to see what's
they
ahead neither.
mad
So
about
he
that
left
shit.
out the right time.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, he got to see a black president. So. But he didn't
Ooh,
get to
they
see a black.
mad.
He didn't get to see a so-called black woman president. He said, "Nah, you know, I don't even want to see it.
I
I'm
don't even
good."
want to see this shit.
Hey, what's the? Hey yo, Pharaoh. Hey yo, Pharaoh. What's the? Because you know I'm not down in Atlanta no more. So what's the word on the street about this shit, bro?
About who?
About this shit coming out, bro. What's the word on the street down there? Because I don't know what the word is down there. I'm not down there no more. So what's the air? What's the air? What's you hearing?
About man. It's a couple of shit that's been going on. I'm pretty sure you heard about Fannie Willis getting pulled over and shit.
Her
And
daughter.
Bruh,
yeah, and got seen out with Nathan Wayne and women making excuses for her and shit. I'm like, bruh,
bruh, they always
I,
do
I
Look. They be like, "Do you know who my mama is? Is she black too? Oh, well, your ass is still that don't mean shit.
They don't mean shit.
yeah,
If she ain't
man.
Kamala, you need to get out this fucking car." Fuck.
Mm,
Nah, but but I'm talking about like with Kamala though. What they talking
oh,
about? What's
with
the
the
air?
debate.
What's the air? Yeah, not the debate, just in general. What's the air
Well,
like?
in general, most, unfortunately, most are feeling Kamala, especially the Divine Nine, the motherfuckers that going, especially motherfuckers that's up in Morehouse and Clark,
Yeah, you
Atlanta.
already. Yeah,
Like,
what did you think?
man,
That's the guy. That's like, man, nigga. What's that Mordor? That place in the Lord? I don't know about Lord of the Rings with the eye and shit. That's that
yeah.
for the gynocracy, man.
Gynocracy Central.
The
That's what this
eye,
shit
the
is
eye
called.
is
A
Star
Gynocracy
Wars.
Right now,
Central.
persistent.
I'm like them motherfuckers slurping. But you gotta. I'm not gonna lie. You got a quite a few people that's not really fond of her, man. It's a couple. It's a couple of us down there. We got extension pragmatic minds
We
down there.
talking
So
about black women, because
yeah.
black women they gonna get the pick,
Well,
they gonna get the pick me call out like you pick
yeah,
me.
that's what I was saying. On my Facebook, I was just telling the chick because she's from Stone Mountain, and she was talking about on her phone. She's like, "Oh, y'all think Kamala ate, huh? Nah, that ain't it, man." I said, "Yo, put this on private or something. Do not let these folks share this shit, cause I do not want them motherfuckers to." And you a hairstylist, too. Oh
Yeah,
man, got
they
your
go
own
burn.
shop.
Look, man, they gonna come at you just like this. They gonna come the venom bitches, venom black chicks. They come right at your ass.
Bruh,
Because
the one with the blonde
they've
man.
been killing their ass on them taxes ever since they've been spying on, they can get you through Cash App and Zelle. They can, you got to report everything. So, people that are barbers, I think you told the shit Edward, you like that this motherfucker will have to pay me by cash, not
Yeah.
shit. No stylists are like, nah, you gonna have to pay me either cash. One girl said she needed to pay me by crypto.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, bro. Like you already know, down in Atlanta, what's really good. You know, a lot of them bitches be laying on their back half the time, so you know how they getting that money through the cash app. You know what's good, so they worried. That's what had them worried.
Hey,
That's the truth.
that is the truth, man. I told a girl, one of the chicks who I've been dating, I'm like, yo, she been trying complaining about her rent being $2,800, and I was like, well, I'm sorry. I'm like, your son just graduated. You got two daughters. I'm like, it's maybe time for you to downsize. You got a 3,800 square feet house that you rent, and you've been renting for 9 years, and you haven't even owned that shit. I'm
Well, you
like,
want to know why? That's because you remember 9 years ago they was cutting checks under Obama, basically for single moms, basically to get into them houses, bro, down in
yeah,
Atlanta.
yep, you're right.
So they was
Cutting
giving
them
they was giving them
vouchers,
they was cutting
yeah.
checks. They was getting them, yeah, they was giving them basically free housing if they had kids, bro. So they was getting them houses for like damn near a quarter of the cost that it was costing a regular person to get inside of a house. So they was basically living in goddamn, a lot of these bitches was living in
Yeah,
big mansions for nothing.
for damn near, yeah, for nothing, little cheap. And now after COVID, especially motherfuckers decided not
Yo,
to pay
I'm
rent
not,
for a year and a
I'm
half.
not, I'm not even gonna lie, yo. I hate to cut you off, but I was thinking about when how Trump was talking towards the end. And yo, I swear in my head, I can see it there. Y'all really gonna vote for this black bitch? Y'all really? That's what y'all really gonna do? Y'all really gonna vote for that black bitch over me? Like what the fuck? It really seemed like he was going that way, man. It was like it's like yo, it's like yo.
Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! John!
That shit is
Sean, Sean, Sean.
and that other chick was like that was like I ain't trying to disrespect that actress because she used to be in a lot of shit in the '90s, but she was
Man,
discount Viola
yo,
Davis, man. If you don't
yo,
want to be
Oh,
Viola
you talking about the
Davis,
black chick that's in that movie?
yeah, she used to always be
What's her
the
name?
bitch
C.H.
that
Pounder,
the
some shit
bitch
like
that
that.
works for the government. That why the
Yeah.
dudes got to do whatever you got to do. She that
But out in DeKalb, out in motherfucking Decatur, out in not Stone Mountain,
You're a victim.
not
La, not Stone Mountain, Lithonia. Lithonia.
Latonia, yeah, Latonia, all them motherfucking areas, bro. Like it's like 8 counties all around Fulton and around the main, the OTP. Basically, all the counties just in the perimeter in the OTP. Everything around that fucking loop, bro. Single motherfucking paradise, bro. They
Oh
was getting them houses on the cheap, bro.
yeah. Houses, yeah, out there in Gwinnett and Mary Cobb County, Clay, and even Henry County, man. And they even was pushing them out there. And Henry County, they still building stuff new. Everything is damn near new in Henry County. And they was pushing them out there. And then right after COVID, I think it was literally like in 2021 going to 2022, them folks stopped that shit. They like, nah, bro, they not accepting no more vouchers because they don't have to. They ain't accepting no more vouchers. They say if you gonna use them, shit, you either gonna have to go far out this bitch. But they not fucking they're not fucking around with it, man.
because the real estate prices, the government's not gonna pay what that stuff is
Is
now,
yep,
what you get
yep.
rent wise. So now they don't know it's all that. And don't fall for the gaslighting these chicks are gonna do. The I know what's it called talk about, man. Trump beat that bitch ass. He trying to stand on that. I'm like, yo, man,
Hmm.
this is almost like a Rocky one. We ain't about to have a Rocky two. How the fuck did this happen? I won. Oh, I really won. No, not really.
But see, Ed, it's crazy too because I was talking about speaking of the prices on the shit. When I used to look at Glenn and Cameron shit,
Then
like
niggas talk about
throughout the
Trump got
time through
dog to
COVID, bro,
God.
he was constantly showing the shit on Zillow, the prices that they were asking for the rent. So some of the houses that he actually were showing, I actually usually on my home time, I was just driving in my car and actually go to the exact address that he was actually showing those houses. And I was like, a lot of, and PK know the area, a lot of these homes were in the SWATs, which is known as Southwest Atlanta, over there, East Point and Campbellton Road. I'm like, bro, ain't no way in hell you charging $4,200 a month in this shit. Nah, but he was right.
She was wild.
I was like, bruh, going up through what's that shit called? On Metropolitan, seeing all them houses on there, and I was like, I'm looking at Zillow. I mean, they even got the audacity to charge high ass prices on Airbnb just to rent them bitches for 2 days. I'm like, bruh, you dead smack in the hood, right across the corner where fucking what's her face died. Like where King Von got killed and shit. Like, come on, man. Like, so it's
It's all good in the hood, bro. You ain't gonna catch no strays. Don't worry about them gunshots, bro. Just pay that 4,200. Come up off it.
I said $4,200, and I was like, damn. On Zillow, they was like, well, it's fully furnished. I'm like, bro, that don't mean not a damn thing. You can get the furniture from Goodwill. It don't make a difference. I'm like, $4,200. You better off paying for a fucking mansion out there in Alpharetta or some shit where the Falcon players live at. Like, come on. So,
4,200 in the hood?
but let these hoes tell it. They good. Shit, ain't too much simps gonna pay that much money for your shit, bitch. I'm sorry.
Good luck with that shit.
Man,
Good
good
luck
luck.
getting niggas to pay for that shit.
Man, good luck. I said, I know there's simps out here, but once you tell them that price, man, they gonna be like, hey,
Nah,
yo, shit,
nah.
I'm sorry, shawty. I got
Well, you gotta
75.
remember. Well, you gotta remember, man, them Atlanta Sims, or then just the Sims in general, just like in these, you know what I'm saying, metropolitan areas, you know, they be on some next level simping, bro. So you
Yeah.
never know.
That was good.
You never know. You know, just because you ain't going don't mean another nigga down there ain't.
Hey,
You
boy,
know?
they're gonna have to consolidate simps and have them all pay their fair share to the bitch. You know what I mean?
Hey, you know the
So I
cash app keep
guess,
rolling. You know how that cash app keep rolling and them hoes keep
man,
strolling, them legs stay open, bro.
yeah,
You know what time it
man,
is, bro. You
man,
know what time it is.
it's gonna be a lot of culture
Yeah,
prostitution. That's all I can say.
they fuck. Yeah, so we're gonna
I
have
could
this.
buy a
I'm
nice car
ending
with 4,000.
it. I'm ending it. So, what do y'all think about this? Kendrick. All this. They pissed off because they not letting the folks from Nolans run the yard. Niggify the Super Bowl. You know,
Oh, what?
they mad. Like, not having you want not having Birdman, Big Thomas. How y'all not?
Oh, bro.
I'm like, clown. I get it, but it's kind of like y'all do realize white folks watch this shit too. Like,
I don't see why it's a big problem. I'm like, they throw it in New Orleans like every freaking what 3 years, four
yeah, they
years. They
do,
get
do
yeah.
that. They must got a
So
great
they
deal.
got pretty much they got damn near a lifetime deal to get their shit thrown in them in Arizona.
Either
Like,
that or
come
they
on.
getting paid. They getting paid. They got to be getting paid. They doing it like that. Like, say somebody knows somebody. Because I'm like New Orleans. Because that ain't even like the cleanest city either. It's like shit. But
Man, so it's I don't know. I wouldn't. It was just embarrassing. I'm like, listen, even if he performs that year, y'all know the Super Bowl is gonna be
yo,
back in a couple of
Brock is in
years.
here. Brock is in here like fighting. He like Blade fighting all the zombies and with the Trump Daywalker. He's like, yeah, nigga, he won. You can't tell me shit. Yeah, talk about Nicki Minaj talking about Jay-Z a house Niggr. And I get
Uh,
it. She trying to do that tether. You heard what she said. I'm like, she defending Wade. I've heard worse. It ain't like she. But at the same time, it's like, and yeah, I do believe Jay-Z probably hating. But it's like, did you, it's like I'm just the way people are just getting out. This puts Kendrick in kind of a low key bind a little bit. But because he ain't gonna be as sanctified as he's been. But yeah, I just don't. I just don't
Hey,
get it.
can I ask a question? What
Yeah,
happened to SWP channels, man? What happened
SWP
to SWP?
ain't nothing happened. He just had to do some house cleaning. He's got like 3 channels now. You just got to search Sergeant Willie Pete. They'll come up. or I'll share. I shared one of his videos, so they're there. He just did some house cleaning with some stuff. That's had to be what happened.
Man, he was going nuts. He was spitting fire, man.
It's in the community tab, so one of his channels. But
Dude,
he's got like two up. But yeah.
dude,
Yeah, he was talking about that autonomy shit, with black women. I said, yeah, like I don't know why y'all think we gonna subsidize your autonomy. I don't know what the fuck y'all be thinking. Because that's and it does make sense. That is where the bullshit is. Is y'all want us to subsidize, y'all want to be independent but secure. And it's like, bitch, fuck y'all.
no. You want to be independent? Okay.
Well,
Go
why
be
do I gotta be
independent.
white men are the
I
only
ain't paying
ones
for
that have
shit.
to play 50-50? Okay, good. Then don't date
Ah,
black men. Like, because
go, go,
if it's
go
really
date the
that
white guy.
or
Go,
whatever, if it's really that simple, then why are you
go
even
date the
dating?
white guys and pay all his bills and do all that shit. Get beat
Well,
on,
I'm
whatever
not
the
even gonna
fuck.
say because apparently, black men are the only ones that's requiring anything. So
Nah, I ain't paying no fucking black
Man,
man. Fuck that shit. Fuck that. We ain't doing that
I
shit over here.
once I seen
We,
that
we, we don't do
video,
it in Brazil. We don't do it in the Bahamas. Nah, you want to play that game? Get the fuck out. That's how we
once
do
I
it.
s- once I seen that video that what BGS played, where the guy was saying that he used to be a former manager for upscale restaurant and bar, and he said black women were pretty much having white guys, and they were paying for their fucking 5-star meal and shit. And I was like, I wanted somebody to really say that and get that story out, because the amount of time that I used to go to Lennox and Buckhead and see that shit, where a
Yeah,
black
they
woman
ain't
will
gonna let
be
you
with a
see
white
that
girl, and
shit
they
because
was footing
look,
the bill for that shit. I've always
look,
told
man.
dudes, I said that 50-50 shit is bullshit. They will go 50-50 on you, talking about 100%. Bro, get the fuck. If they are willing to foot the
Uh,
bill for a white man, bruh, that shit is a
yeah,
facade. You as a black man, they always start you at a negative. And I said that's
that
full of
that that shit
shit.
that shit that
Like,
shit is that shit is that anti-blackness. I don't want to be black bullshit. Nah, get the fuck out. Get the fuck out.
yeah, they pretend. Yeah, they
We
pretend.
ain't dealing with.
But what
Get the
about
fuck
the
Well,
out.
real quick, the only
Fuck all that.
thing that you gotta
hey? No. What about the fucking cat and dog? God damn it!
something that really doesn't never actually really get sussed out, and I think some people talk about it from time to time, bro. Is like the bottom line. A lot of these hoes, man, really it's about their VPS, bro. It's
Problem
completely
is, the
fucked.
thing is,
It's
the
their
thing is
vaginal
this.
positioning system. I mean, like honestly, if you goddamn get them wet, the bottom line is that they'll fuck you for free, and they'll pay for
Yeah,
you too. And
yeah,
you see it with the men that they choose. And you see white men actually start off at an advantage by virtue of the fact that they white. And a lot of black men don't want to fucking actually believe that because of our own ego. We get tied up in it.
dear
exactly,
mama, dear
exactly,
mama,
exactly,
dear mama.
Now, so when it comes
exactly.
to a black man that get access, it's usually because of sexual currency, but we like to call that swag and put a bunch of game on top of it. Because we
Fucking gay.
niggas, so
I
it's
hate
got to
that.
be game. Nah, nigga,
Fuck
you
that.
just happen to look a certain type of way that these hoes like, and they
Yeah,
chose you to be a CompuServe. Do your job.
Do your job, exactly. That's
man,
why they
that shit only.
easy get on your ass when shit hits the shit hits the fans,
Man,
and you
yeah,
be
yeah,
a fucking red dot for domestic violence, while police come in and fucking hem your ass up on some bullshit. I said, you
yeah.
niggas really think that y'all in a power position? No, the fuck y'all not, bro.
Oh, these niggas are stupid. And I like what I was saying. It's true. You niggas need to live on your fucking knees knowing you serve these bitches. That's it. We gonna accept this fucking patriarchy, okay? Fine. Live on your fucking knees and
Oh, that
accept
would
that.
have. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, yeah, and a lot of well,
Fuck
it is
you,
what it
nigga.
is. So anyway, y'all got final statements, but niggas like nigga.
Hey, shout out from South
Hey, somebody, I'm gonna let
America.
Brock rock with this. He said the cat dog tax. I'm like, yeah, that nigga, he about to catch that shit. I bet you white people like, come on, man, what the
I
fuck? Like, did he just say
my
that shit? You can't
my
say that out loud.
Like,
Hell,
my
if you gonna say
you gotta
cat
be
dog, Shit, if you gonna say
Man,
dog, you might as well just call her a nigger. Shit.
Man,
Let
this
me
all
fly.
this all I gotta
man,
say. You immigrants in Ohio, you motherfuckers caught a stray.
and
I'm
those
tell you,
guys,
I'm gonna like, and he set it up too. I'm gonna tell you a secret. You know what they
like
doing? They ain't got dog over there.
light skin Shang News.
He
They
even named
tried.
the city and state. I was like, oh man, he put y'all. Y'all
He,
caught a whole stray.
he tried to Michael Vick them motherfuckers.
Yo,
They.
yo,
Oh my
yo,
god.
you got these angry light skin Shang News, bro. Angry light skin Shang News.
Yeah.
One fine day with a whoop and a purr, a baby was born and it caused a little stir. No blue buzzard, no three-eyed frog, just a feline canine little cat dog. Cat dog, cat dog.
Bruh.
Alone in the world was a little cat dog. Out on the road or back in town, all kind of critters wouldn't cat dog down. Gotta rise above it, gotta try to get along. Gotta walk together, gotta sing this song. Cat dog, cat dog.
These millennials, these Z's don't know shit about that.
Nah, they don't know this.
They gonna know. They gonna know in 24 hours.
Yeah, that's when Nickelodeon was the shit. They don't know nothing about that Alice fan. The Nickelodeon for they fuck. That was the real Nickelodeon.
Nickelodeon was.
I mean, you had to go back to the Invaders Zim days for that, bro. That's a whole different time.
Yeah, Cartoon Network had them bangers too, like Courage the Cowardly Dog and shit, man. What, boy? Yeah, them Z's don't know shit about that.
Man, they keep fucking shit up. They fucked up into. I'm gonna be 40 by the time Across the Spider-Verse come out. I'm probably gonna be 40 by the time GTA 6 come out too.
I'm gonna be like 42 at that time.
These motherfuckers, but yeah, they don't, because they scrub that. They don't even, it's how they ain't even like a channel. There's not even a Nickelodeon oldies. They just act like that shit just never happened.
Nigga Johnny Vegas said, "Damn, let the Haitians eat."
That's wild.
And now you got me looking bad, because niggas, I'm trying to be cordial. Like, come on, man, you about to get. I'm gonna find out somebody's beefing with me, and I find out, oh, they Haitian. So
oh shit!
Yeah, well, Haitians ain't known for that. I mean, shit, you niggas go get fried chicken. Is that why black people get fried chicken from the Chinese restaurant?
Man,
I could make a bad taste joke about that. Because you say they're not, I can make a real bad taste joke about that. While you saying you talking bullshit, didn't Haiti go through some shit not too long ago with a motherfucking name barbecue? I'm just saying.
Well, I go to hibachi. That's why I like to go.
No, you ain't hearing me though. You might want to look that up, bruh. By the nigga named barbecue down there in Haiti or whatever. Yeah, that happened recently. Yeah, look that up.
Johnny Vegas.
I'm gonna leave that alone though. I ain't gonna do it to it. That's rough. I ain't gonna do it to you though.
Oh, and appreciate Julian with the $10, Jason Hayes with the 20. Yeah, I don't even want to know. I bet you BGS. He said that. Yeah, took it down. Yeah, I mean, shit. I'll keep it up. I ain't scared. Shit, I ain't say shit. Y'all niggas. I should go. I could be doing political cartoons. She said, yeah. Trump was like, God damn it, you know about that cat? Shut the cat, I catch it, dog. Yo, why? Somebody gonna be like, that shit is video AI. Ain't no way he said that shit,
bruh. Bruh. Trump is the funniest president ever. I'ma say it straight like that. I'm like, he the gift that keep on giving. I'm like, bro. When you talking about showbiz, that's why I say he really made for the fucking cameras, man. Like that, I bet you he purposely said that shit too. He wanted that shit to.
Wow.
Bro, them motherfuckers gonna ham on X, bro. This is what he wanted. I bet you this shit fell into his hand. He didn't just accidentally say the cat and dog shit.
Even Elon Musk
wanted that shit to
like,
say
God
that.
Damn.
Hey, yo. You guys heard what Marlon May said on She said Elon Musk's sperm is weird. Talking shit about this transgender child shit. That shit was hilarious. And Elon,
Oh yeah,
your
he said
sperm
they
weird,
said she
Elon.
wants another debate. Oh,
Yeah. Let me see.
Shit crazy, man.
I mean, if it happens, it happens. I
Yeah.
really just wanted him to hammer that fucking Venezuelan shit, bruh. I was like, cause they gotta answer for that shit. In
And then
Colorado and
Venezuelans are
Chicago,
savages,
they
man.
gotta answer for that shit.
And
They
then
ain't been
Venezuelans
shipping
are
no.
savages.
They ain't been shipping nobody down. I'm surprised they didn't actually ship a whole lot of folks down to Atlanta because you know they did throughout. I want to say through around the mid 2000s all the way up to around 2010 when we got all the immigrants. You know what I'm saying? All the Hispanics and Asians down there in Atlanta. That's
Yeah,
when they
yeah.
really started coming in.
Because a lot of them, either like the Asians, they pretty much are flooding Gwinnett, pretty much Duluth, Loganville. What's the other town up there? And Lawrenceville. And then you got a lot of Hispanic that's on my side of town, it's the South Side, which they've been flooding Forest Park like a motherfucker.
Yeah,
So,
at the end of the day, people gonna find. I mean, they're gonna find out. And they're gonna be like, "How did it happen?" I'm like, I mean, it is what it is.
They gonna
bro,
find out for real.
Yeah.
They
So
gonna find out.
yeah. So I got other stuff to do. Like this is something I wanted to do. Appreciate y'all for looking out. I'm looking at who's on Arts Live and
nobody haven't came up yet.
oh
Well, our life gonna be lit as fuck.
I gotta jump on those panels, man.
yeah. So anyway, shout out to Deadpool. That movie looks like it's gonna hit 1.3 billion. And anybody got any final thoughts?
Yeah, my final thought is I hope y'all have a good night, and I'm gonna pray for you. And cat dog.
All right, you got any
Cat dog.
thoughts?
Shit. Hey, see you guys later, man. I gotta go.
All
It's
right,
like
peace out.
one.
Hmm.
Peace out.
Absolutely. Yeah, and so appreciate y'all for being out there for supporting stuff. Yeah, that shit is wild, man. And shout out to all y'all super chats and everything. Saw y'all D Scott, you know who you are. D Scott, Johnny Vegas for the multiple, JD Aesthetic, and yeah, this is Edward signing off. Peace.